One back for a day's rest. Assuming you do, you like.
No,
No, no.
vampires don't get that.
Vampires don't get that. No, you. I think I've reneged on that a little bit, as long as it's like, you know, proper rest, and you've made sure to go through the process of being comfortable with yourself. But the general way of getting willpower is to act in accordance to your character, and then ask me if you can have any, because I will often forget otherwise.
Okay.
Basically, anything that fills your vein or your blood or whatever it's called.
Yeah. Whatever
Moscow dash.
yeah, whatever exemplifies your flaws or exemplifies your, you know, the person you want to present to the world. So for you, you would get rewarded for stuff like, you know, being a professional and being a perfectionist. And I would also add that I can be pretty loose with how I assign that. And all things considered, a fight happened and you were pretty professional about it, I would say. So if you are down, I will permit you a willpower before we get underway with everyone's, like, you know, aspirations and shit. Did anyone else feel they were owed a willpower at the end of last session? I would say Timothy, because he shadow wizarded again, like, a whole lot. And that does seem to keep playing in.
Okay.
Don't stop the shadow whiz.
Yeah. So Timothy. Yeah, spy perfectionist. I think so. Yeah, you're definitely a little spy boy, all shadow form, and you even invested willpower to stay active whilst remaining an anonymous shadow beast. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, my lovely dears, shall we start with our aspirations? Got my little old list.
I suppose that is logical, isn't it?
It is, especially since one of mine is gone and another one has been fulfilled.
Mm-hmm. Okay. First up, Lily, we have fucking 3 pluses and helped him with the job, since you've been at this now for like most of this campaign, I think. This section of it at the very least. And you have one in fixed vision with no pluses in it. What would you like your third aspiration to be, and would you like to change anything?
First off, DCL. I'll say this is the problem with making your character literally you. And my third aspiration, I will see if it can be watch Darian suck Etienne's dick.
Alright, sure. It's outlandish enough, but you only get away with it once.
Never seen that, so I kind of want to see that.
Could safely say I've never enforced it. Can't wait for that fact to change. Alright. DCL, we have perform a job alongside Rose, and just so you're aware, blowjob doesn't count for finale on this.
Ah, damn it! You ruined what I was about to ask. Ah, damn it! Okay. Okay.
Tell you what, you know that offer you got last time for complete a job without resorting to violence and choosing to axe it for like early scoring before it was too late? If you would like to axe it for early scoring, I'll let you count a blowjob and take half the experience.
Okay. Yes.
Oh goodness. Alright.
Because the meme must be complete.
You really want to score it in now and okay.
Well, how much is it?
Right now it's got 2 pluses in it. You would be ditching a plus.
I mean, are we gonna do crime times anytime soon?
I mean, this job is still not over, all things considered.
Yeah, let me just keep that aspiration, because I only have 2 aspirations I can think of right now.
That's for the best then. You can take 2.
First would be to figure out what exactly these new creatures we just encountered are.
The new creatures.
And then the second, I'm gonna need help with remembering the organization that's after us.
The 7.
Yeah, I'm gonna want to try and capture one of the 7th alive. Assuming they're vampires.
So I'll put alive in air quotes just to give you a little bit of leeway.
Yeah. Capture and interrogate this group because that would be big.
They probably would not leave interrogation to you, but capture is totally reasonable.
Yeah, I wouldn't capture it. I mean, I wouldn't do the interrogation. I would be a part of the capturing.
Yeah.
I don't know how to fucking torture people.
Yeah. I mean, you do, but I'm just gonna level with you. That's the kind of thing that steals steals humanity away from you.
Okay, let me put it this way. I don't think you know, fighting is one thing, torturing is another. I don't think my character or me would actually have the stomach for that yet. That would be later down the line, or in extreme circumstance where the stakes were very high. It'd have to be like the city getting nuked or something before he would even try it,
Yeah.
or best friend getting killed.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, like, usually losing humanity goes hand in hand with something kind of tragic happening to your humanity, as opposed to choosing to do it just out of, like, spite. Just being like, I'm gonna torture you. The reason that you lose a humanity, like, these breaking points occur is often because you've been forced to a breaking point, like something has happened, aka, like, people you care about have been killed, or, you know, such and such. Because it's very rare that you will cause a breaking point just fucking because.
Yeah.
Unless you play as a next-level sociopath.
And then you just don't have any humanity from the first place.
Yeah, and then you're probably burning it left and right.
Man,
So those are my two lofty aspirations for right now.
Yeah, they are decent enough ones. It's entirely possible to try and complete one in a sesh. Alright. Mers. In yours, you have Research Persistent Shadows with a plus. 2 pluses in Resolving Shaking a Few Trees. Sorry, 3 in Resolving and Shaking a Few Trees. And a plus in Do Not Allow the Agents of the Seven to kill or torpor any of my companions. Would you like to change any of those?
Nope, those are all good.
Excellent. And that's it for aspirations for now. I'm going to make some side checks for Stray's character, because when Stray was forced to stop, he did still have set aspirations, and some of those can actually be improved by your use of her for information gathering. I forgot to put a plus in for her for uncovering more about the Seven, because she actually did do that for you. As with that, yeah, upgrade Argus Manor, discover Forgotten Lord of the Baccarat for Aurora, and uncovering more about the Seven. That now gets a plus. That was overdue. As for Remy, he isn't around to pick his third aspiration. Those have all been plussed, but to keep you all abreast, become ingratiated with the local Invictus has a plus, and assist my coterie with the side job has 3 pluses in it. Previously he scored survive the fight against the Pale Beasts. And with that, we jump into Lagam. So, Lagam, Stur Lagamla. Where last we left off, our intrepid anti-heroes successfully slaughtered weird, creepy, pale creatures with surprising amounts of lethal damage to them in what would have then been thought of as an abandoned apartment, on the hunt for someone's ghoul. However, that ghoul was discovered as a vampire. They have been recovered and, you know, trussed into a van to be delivered by cleaners. And I believe someone rode in the van with them just in case.
That would be a DCL.
Correct. They arrived and you were able to escort them to, like, you know, presumably one of their holding cells underground. They don't have many holding cells. They don't tend to need to use them for long periods at a time. They have a high cell turnover rate, I suppose. But they have all the necessary precautions and will get him all laid out. At which point, it is not a cleaner who comes to you. It is a soldier, for want of a better phrase. Like, it's not one of the, like, knights who go out and fight things or wait to be called upon, or agents like yourselves. It's basically the closest thing. The Elysium has twin armed guard. They have an assault rifle, they have an SMG, they have a pistol, and they have a very big knife.
Right. Nod at him and wait for him to say what he wants to say to me.
He doesn't have anything to say. He just is ready to take up the guarding position, and so he intends to do so. And will let you know if anything should change. They don't want to go ahead and wake him up straight away, especially since by the time this all occurs, you're like in need to go back and sleep before you burn up in the light of the sun.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like it's late. It's late for all of us. You go ahead and get your rest. I'll watch, then swap to a bunch of ghouls that are armed, and that's how that goes effectively.
Yeah, there's something I kind of wanted to get a refresher on.
Sure.
The Seven is coming after us for things that we've been investigating.
Potentially. You have not seen evidence that the Seven are hunting any of you specifically, at least not yet.
Not yet. But we did come across them via tracking the trail of what happened to the people who did not make it to the invitations, correct?
Correct. Currently, your closest lead is that it would seem the Elder of the Botticelli is themselves a member of the Seven, and they are actually responsible for turning the vampire that you have now, handed over under guard.
All right.
There is a recap of all the stuff in here.
Okay, thank you.
Down the bottom there is the new embrace. The messenger Jacob Gabbs has been discovered, and he's now a vampire. As for the rest of you, you split your ways after succeeding in this fight and getting up to some other bits and pieces. Rose returned to her companions with a absolutely high as fucking balls Etienne. Because she had to ingest quite a bit of vitae.
She had a very bad day.
She has had a very bad day.
I'm gonna have to ingest quite a bit of vitae myself as well right now.
Yep.
So I'll have to take some time to commit to that.
Sure. Let's see here. Are you having any at the Elysium?
Do they have any for offer? Because
They don't offer it, but there's always the expectation of can't feed yourself. But you are also doing work in the Elysium's name, so they're not exactly going to contest you on it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So you do not have Elysium merits. You do not have Invictus merits. They will give you 2 vitae.
Don't. Oh, okay. Didn't I have Covenant status Invictus?
Have you bought any? I don't see any.
I have 2 on my.
Oh, you do. You've just got it. Just says Covenant status. Okay.
Yeah.
There then. Sorry. Yeah. You get 2 plus 2d10.
All right. Let me roll that. Ooh, nice.
All right. 4 vitae.
Full vitae or full 4 vitae?
4 vitae, not full. Jesus.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, here's just a transient. Just drain them. Who fucking cares? Go full
Just
vitae.
drink the shit out of a hobo and suck him down until it looks like a California raisin.
But yeah, no, I won't do any of the killing. Gotta preciously guard that humanity.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I see a waves there from Tim in chat.
Focus on everybody else. I gotta take care of dogs.
Sure. What's up, Tim?
Earth?
I believe Mez has to type at the moment.
Okay.
Get to wait in avid attention. They went hunting you before they sure shit now. Could be. Oh, evil sociopaths who burn humanity willy-nilly. That makes sense. Yeah, that, I mean, you haven't burned, like, a shit ton of humanity yet. But you have definitely burned your way into the sociopath scale by being halfway to crazy. Or halfway to sane, whoever, you're a glass of vitae half full kind of person. Okay. And what does Tim want to do as night approaches? It seems that DCL is happy to accompany the return of this vampire. You need to hunt. Let's have a look at your vitae. That is sure as shit is 1 vitae. Presumably you're going to want to, like, get more than just a trip to the Elysium is going to fund you up. Would you like to roll for some hunting? And you can go to Elysium. They'll give you 2 plus your 3 stats and dice.
Watch over this.
Actually, they would give you a bit more because you got mentor. Hold on a sec so you can finish your book. Of course, of course. In which case, I will catch you guys up with some additional information. Because she was asked to look into it, Claire has indeed looked into it and has probably been caught up on additional information vis-a-vis this vampire sure does seem to be a Botticelli. The reason that she has not got much information on the Botticelli right now is because there have been some dissections by the dragons, mind you, but not any vivisections. Now, you happen to have a freshly made Botticelli vampire in your hold. And since they're, all juicy and fresh, it's also entirely likely that a vivisection won't, introduce them to the final death. And that being is right now in Torpor, which is the perfect opportunity to do some investigation into why their strange bloodline appears to have this transitive effect on other people's bloodlines, such as the gradual blinding of Rose Lawson. Of course, she does not mention the Rose going blind part to you guys. This is information that she has kept very specifically between the two of them. We'll add that as a correction. And she's careful not to fuck that whole deal up. So she will be in the area, and some specialist dragons will be coming over the next morning, quote unquote, to perform said vivisection while she records. Whilst this individual is in torpor, it's not going to damage her humanity. Not that I would really want to damage her humanity while Stray isn't here. That feels like kind of a shit deal. But she will acquire more information. Namely as well, if this, transient bloodline of Botticelli is capable of turning people, that might be a clue into the Seven's ability to appear to, infiltrate or sleeper agent people, which are the general explanations you've got in place for, how are they capable of doing these things and hurting people. Pointedly, do any of you have any questions? I know that some of you are still, numbing foods, but...
I am still going through everything we've gone through.
Sure thing. It's been quite a fucking
any...
in-depth side job, huh?
Yeah, have we gotten any information back from the cleaners that we've set on watch from certain sites or sent to do investigations on this stuff?
Let's see here. Which ones are you thinking of in particular?
Shit. Let's start simple and go with Esteban, the first body we found. When we found his corpse, did we ever verify if that was actually a real corpse? A real vampire corpse, at least, since his head was there, but he had ashes in his mouth.
Yes, it is confirmed that, well, as far as confirmed can be, that the individual was a vampire. Esteban himself, he was in okay enough condition, but he exhibited the, rapid decomposition that happens in a vampire when they are introduced to the final death, that is far beyond the time of death that you actually have a decent estimate for. And that level of decomposition matches up with records for, Esteban's turning, such as it were. It's generally one of the only ways to do so when someone's features are so fucked and withered. If you don't have their sire around, it's kind of hard to tell otherwise.
Fair enough. And if the cleaners come back with anything about watching over the sewer access, any notable comings or goings?
Roll me 1d10. They have no information about people who have come and gone from the sewer access. They have got assumptions that there's probably more than one way into the sewer, but no one's taking the, concourse that people who aren't Botticelli pass by at the very least.
Okay, fair enough. I'm trying to get my thoughts in order since I'm having to repiece everything that's been going on.
Sure thing.
First assumption is that since, So was the elders coming, like his reawakening, was that like something that people would have known about
The
for a while
prince.
in advance, right?
The Prince's Awakening was known to become, like, it was going to happen on New Year's. It was very specifically timed for that. In fact, they were mostly all surprised because he'd woken up, before that, so that he could just walk up to his own party next to his empty coffin and surprise a whole bunch of people, and also not be a bumbling idiot about, waking up in a brand new era and being all, like, fogged and fugued, because, people don't wake up with their shit together, all things told, even if they've got a dragon helping them.
Fair enough.
So he was like, haha, fucking gotcha. You all thought it was New Year's. It was a week early. But it was known to be that he would be waking around this time. Elders had been turning up all around the Elysium from, like, everywhere in America and some European places to witness it.
So, cursory, just hip fire assumption with no knowledge of the occult or what power New Year's or near New Year's Day would have.
Sure.
The seven, probably seven, or whoever is trying to frame seven, if that's a thing, probably wanted them to let the murders be known and figured out and discovered. If they did it to a place where everybody was expected to be in attendance, and the people who were not in attendance would have to be investigated and figure out why they were not there, right? If they wanted to be subtle about it, they could have done this better. They could have chosen a better time.
That
So
is
they rather
a fair point. Yes, you have every reason to believe that if they had not done things like intercept messengers or just wait till the elder woke up or quote unquote woke up to start acting, then yeah, they would have done so. So it's either that or they themselves, for whatever reason, did not know.
So yeah. And
Yeah,
assuming
reasonable
that,
assumption.
I'm going to also assume that they probably did know about the elders waking up if they are this clever and this careful.
Yeah.
So there's that. So they rather did this because they wanted to be discovered or because they were rushed. So that still leaves lots of options. Reading through it more, Jacques the Blind, he did receive us and he did talk to us, correct?
No, Jacques. Sorry, Jacques the Blind. No, you spoke to her child, Saren.
Okay.
Yeah. Saren. Wait, no. Saren was Tarina's child. God, what was the name of fucking the Botticelli child? Amelia. Sorry, Amelia Weber. Has no idea where Jacques the Blind currently is. But she was the one who spoke to you in the sewers.
Current department cleaner's been asked to watch over.
So yes, Saren, as in Saren Gas, was Tarina's child, and Tarina has gone missing.
Remind me again how we found Jacob. How we found Jacob. He was crucified.
Correct.
And was there any marking of 7?
Yes, I can't remember how I described it. I'm pretty sure it was in soot.
Okay, I was just making sure that the marking was there.
Yeah, oh blindo.
But he was ultimately not finished off completely. So I think ultimately what I'm going to do is stick around so I can question Jacobs when he wakes up. Because if 7 wanted him dead, chances are, if we're talking about this badass organization that hunts vampires, that investigate into it with a complete death rate, and no one's ever survived, they probably could have killed Jacob if they really wanted to, and left no evidence or chances of us interfering.
Yes, I mean, the reality is you stake someone to the wall, you're gonna know if they died, and it would be very strange to, I mean, admittedly, this doesn't have any bearing, it would be strange to turn someone and then, well, turn someone else's ghoul, no less, and then kill them.
Yeah. I think the weird thing about it was, wasn't the reason why he didn't die is because his heart was oddly in the
It's the only
wrong
reason he
place?
wasn't pinned through the heart, he just happens to be a statistical anomaly.
Okay. So maybe that's why he survived. So maybe it was just a mistake. Maybe. But yeah, questioning Jacob seems like the most pertinent thing to do. So Timmy or Third have anything they want to say, I will let them say that while I continue to try to read.
Sure. Even we can take a step back. How would Tim like to go hunting?
Uh, so basically just go and find vagrant and be awful at them.
Sure. I take it you're going to sneak up Shadow Style first and then boop out?
I mean, if I wanted to be really fancy, I could just spend my last fight day to reactivate, to turn into a shadow and do breath feeding. But you know what? Let's do it. It's a dreadful idea, but Timothy has not been made with good ideas.
I like the sound of that. So you're going to go locate, I suppose, just sleeping transients then if you're going to go breath drinking, unless you really want to try and pin them as a shadow.
I wouldn't even need to pin them. It could just climb on them.
This is true. But yes. I mean, are you going, okay, yeah, I suppose then it's a valid question. Are you going to go for awake or sleeping transients for breath drinking?
Let's go with sleeping ones. That's probably going to be less awful.
Sure. Okay, you've not had much breath drinking practice so far as I'm aware.
That's correct. I've only specifically done it the once.
Okay then. And are you expending your last Vitae in order to start the breath drinking in itself?
Oh, I have to expend the last GT to, turn into a shadow.
Okay then. When you start your breath drinking, you can find a sleeping bum, such as it were. I'm gonna need a resolve composure test from you to just not drink this man dry through his breath. Because you are very hungry.
I also need to make the test for doing the thing.
Of course. That's true, you might not succeed at it in the first place. And then you're gonna have to, not as a shadow, jump on a sleeping transient and then try and drink them. And keep your shit together whilst losing. Okay, no, you're good. Everything's fine.
Also, just take the blood beat.
Yep. Okay, so can I get a resolve composure test, please? And we will see if you resist the urge to completely consume him. In fact, I might steal your dice, make your shadow potency a negative modifier in this case. Do you have no practice using it?
Yeah, I do also believe there's a penalty because of being literally starving.
I think since you've done it like right next to him, fully in the knowledge, it's not like you're like, so weak, can't act. You're doing this specifically to feed, so I'm... Wait, no, is that steal off your resolve immediately?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because this is, mechanically speaking, this is a roll to resist frenzy.
Okay, yeah, alright then.
Yeah. I just need to check which one, how big a penalty it is.
On the plus side,
it's probably a dreadful idea, but...
On the plus side, I don't think those penalties stack then if it's more than one. With your shadow potency on top of your frenzy. Let's see here.
Well, I have good news for you. The starving penalty against frenzy is a -4.
Okay then. Well, it's for the best then that your shadow potency does not go with that then, because frenzy is its own special snowflake. So go right ahead. Make your roll -4. Say, would you like a dramatic failure? I'll give you 3 beats.
You know what? Yes.
Alright, so take your 3 dramatic failure beats as you start drinking and drinking and drinking, and this roiling sensation, it builds up within you. Like you've supped from blood before many a time in your life. To you, this sensation, this drinking of the breath feels superior. It feels vitalizing, and you can feel this strength build up from within. And then by the time your attention comes to, you realize you are staring at a withered husk. I'm going to need you to make a breaking point roll.
Alright.
Because you have used shadow sorcery, killed an innocent person. It's a pretty big deal.
Remind me what that is, quickly.
I shall pull up the exacts to make sure we do this properly. Also, if you could record somewhere on your sheet, until a week has passed without breath feeding. Breath, I will note, I say there was no breath feeding. You will have negative your shadow potency on anything related to the hunt for food. It is just going to be a negative hanging over your shoulders until you go a week cold turkey of breath feeding. See, it was Breaking Point was just in Vamps, wasn't it? Not core book. Breaking Point. Search the book.
It's on page 107.
Yep. Okay, so breaking points are moments and experiences in their Requiem that push them to risk detachment. Anytime they experience a breaking point, roll to resist. For an event to constitute, it must be applicable to blah 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 blah. Examples, blah 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 blah. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay, examples are fine, great. What's the roll?
It's literally the next page.
There we go. Okay. When reaching a breaking point, they'd face potential the loss of humanity dot. To resist, roll the number of dice associated with the breaking point's level. If you have touchstones, you can draw upon an additional dice. Willpower may not be spent to improve this. Anytime you face a breaking point, take a beat. I've given you 3, so you should be happy with that. And yeah, make your roll. It is equal to your humanity pool.
Plus how many
touchstone.
touchstone?
If you have touchstones, you can draw on additional dice. It doesn't say, so I imagine it's 1 per touch, because you can lose them for hitting low ranks of humanity.
Bottom of the page. If you have an attached touchstone, +2.
Ah, okay. As I just suggested, but okay, yeah. Do you have 1 or multiples? You can see they're +2 or +3.
1.
Okay, yep, alright. So humanity +2. Willpower may not be spent. Fucking...
Oh, no, sorry. There should be 5 more dice on that, so...
Oh, okay, yeah, just roll 5d10. Okay, so yeah, you came out with 2. Success. You hold on to a scrap of empathy despite the urge to let go. You do not lose humanity, but you gain the bestial, competitive, or wanton condition as their nature pushes them to withdraw. So what would you say is the nature most in common with the condition here? Bestial, competitive, or wanton?
In this case, wanton sounds appropriate.
Okay, let us double check the effects of wanton. All I know about wanton is the Deva. There we go. Page 307. You want for the sake of wanting. You're distracted with temptations of excess and indulgence. For any composure or resolve rolls to resist a temptation, suffer a -2 dice penalty. As well, the character that brought forth this condition achieves exceptional success on 3 instead of 5 when making any rolls to tempt you. Alright, so if you would like to record your wanton condition, then feel free to copy and paste this in. -2. Attempts to make you...
Quick question when you were able to answer it.
Yeah.
Who is Elder Tarina again?
Elder Tarina is the person in charge of that creepy insane asylum, the person that Gideon met that night before going to sleep in his comfy room.
And then the child Saren?
The child Saren is the child of Elder Tarina, and the child with an E on the end, like probably not by birth, but he's the one who made her into a vampire. And she is the one who quote unquote interrogated Gidgeon that very next morning before informing him that Tarina disappeared.
And do we know what her general alignment, what covenants she aligns with?
As far as all is told officially, they are Invictus.
All right.
Okay, so this condition of wanton naturally fades a number of nights equal to the blood potency of the vampire who caused it. So, you're for the next 2 nights. That's your BP. We're going to say 3. We're going to include your shadow potency. So for 3 nights, you have these 2 factors added to your character. Is that okay?
Yep.
There we go. And congratulations on resisting a breaking point.
Also, how much VT did I get from that?
Roll me a d3. It's going to be 6 plus 1d3. Okay, you get 7 vitae from killing a bum with this breath. Would you like to try and drink from another one? I will say that the roll has -2, but it will not incur the -4 of before.
I mean, I do need blood, so...
Go for it then. It does not take you long to hunt down another, and there is no risk of alarming them as you move as an inky black shadow across the night. So resolve composure -2. Look at you. Alright, I really wanted to see another 0. I'd be like, I'm not offering you beats this time. You get the 1 for another breaking point, as you immediately repeat the same mistake. No, okay then. Are you going to drink them to death?
No.
Alright, 4 plus 1d2.
That'll just fill me up, so...
Okay. There we go. I think that's the first time anyone has risked legitimate harm to their humanity by feeding. People have come close, but they weren't made aware of how their feeding technically killed a couple of people here and there, so I can't really make you roll against it.
So, I'm also going to spend one of those vitae immediately to do shadow play, so I can make some tentacles and get rid of the body.
Sounds good. Do tell, how are tentacles going to remove this withered corpse you have made?
See, is there, nearby sewer access or something?
Roll me a d10. If it's anything but a 1, then yes. Yeah, okay, if there's a sewer access you can make. Can you make a roll to be stealthy, please? Because although you yourself are stealthy, moving a corpse, less so. You can add your Shadowplay dice to it if you would like to roll your Shadowplay first, please.
Yep, So, what sort of stealth roll?
Stealth itself is a physical, and then it's whichever, either, I suppose, a dexterity or a wits.
Let's go with wits.
Hello back.
Lifting up a corpse with tentacles, that sounds more like a mind thing.
Yeah. So, Lily, were you here for the breaking point?
No.
Okay, so...
I had to deal with dogs and get dinner started.
Okay, so yeah, Timothy drank down... You spent his last vitae to go shadow form and drink the breath from a sleeping hobo, except that put him in a frenzy. And so when he tried to drink from them, he killed them, which then gave him a breaking point roll. And then he succeeded the breaking point roll and went to drink from another. However, he currently has the wanton condition, so that was a negative. Buddy succeeded. Buddy has to hide the first hobo's corpse using shadow play tentacles.
Fun.
Yep. And you succeed on both counts and hide the body. Just dumped into the sewers.
Oh, now the blind people are gonna come after you.
He did drink them like a Strix. I'm not going to say that that's the thing that I considered, but it's the thing that I considered.
Blind people are gonna be like, "Stop dumping shit in our house."
It is very rude. They have to put up with it
Here,
quite
take
regularly.
your
Everything's
trash bag.
fine.
Oh god, the trash bag. That's a fun thing that happens.
You just throw the corpse under your front lawn.
No, throw the corpse under your car as you drive to a destination.
Hey, that's happened.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sad the party didn't follow up with it later
Yeah.
Follow up
you
with
know.
what now?
and
It was
figure out what had happened.
yeah. But it was
that was
part of
meant-
Rose Quest.
That was
Oh.
meant to be like a little hint as to where Rose had gone, but
You know, leading the party. It's like trying to get a horse to drink motor oil.
the party was already going.
They
to
were
the
already
correct
for their
location.
destination anyway.
Well, they weren't going to the correct location. They were going to a
A
location
location. Yeah.
that would
Need to
get
get-
them to the same place in the end.
My character needs to get in contact with Timothy.
Okay, well, this was happening before Tim goes to bed for the night.
Okay, yeah. So wait till tomorrow. I would have been poring over the notes and trying to form the theory, and I want to bounce the theory I have off of Timothy.
That sounds entirely reasonable, but yes, he is not too much longer after your arrival at the Elysium before he too turns up. There is definitely a weird sensation that seems to roll off of him that, I mean, you've noticed before, you've seen him do the shadow magic, and it's like, his shadow itself isn't really standing still like it should be, like it's just agitated at the moment.
Right. Well, I can handle that later.
Yeah.
For now, I'll keep it business usual and ask for Timothy for a conversation in somewhat private place where where there's no chance of listeners in.
Now I want to add, are you doing the, like, because I say, like, he arrives in the night, like, right before it's time to go to sleep. Are you keeping him up for this, or what? Because you have to get home in time as well.
All right, then I'll make sure to keep this brief and just bounce my theory off real quick.
Go for it.
So yeah.
Go ahead, Darian.
Right. So I've been poring over the notes what happened, and from everything, I have, I guess, two major potential theories of what's going on. The first one is that Jacob is potentially a Trojan informant.
Hmm. Plausible. Plausible, yes.
To kind of explain my line of thought, Jacob was sent from Tarina for a declination message, and now Tarina is both AWOL, and we have no idea where she is. And
He-
Jacob was turned, huh?
The Tarina, the Elder himself, is a he. Creepy dude,
Okay.
in fact.
All right, yeah, sorry. Yeah, we don't know where Tarina is, and we found Jacob alive still, and binded in such a way that it implicates him towards Jaquise the Blind, correct?
Jacques the Blind, and he's implicated towards Jacques the Blind because he has been turned into a member of his coven, yes, and he is currently missing.
Yes. That might be a way of implicating that vampire. And the only reason why I would believe he might not be involved in this, might not be, is because Amelia, we believed, was the one trying to warn us of the danger when we started investigating this.
Yes.
So there's a chance that Jacob was left alive on purpose to feed us misinformation to skew our investigation. So just be aware of that when we ask him questions and get information from him.
All right, all right.
And then, of course,
I will admit that I had already considered it, but to hear it from you as well, is definitely a suspicious matter.
I love how such a smug dickhead Tim is. I was thinking about it, but if an imbecile like you can come to these conclusions, it bears merit.
I'll shrug it off and like continue and go like, and then of course the other obvious implication from the other side is that Amelia or her kind are potentially orchestrating all this. She did get in contact with us or at least leave hints for us rather early. So she could also be leading all of the things we find as well. I guess the big takeaway from this is basically do not trust whatever we get out of Jacob completely.
Hmm. Given how cooperative Botticelli were, I just... If I had not been willing to show us the sites of the murders in the sewers, then I would be inclined to agree.
Hey, could have been the hard sell. You never know. It's just a theory for now, and we need more evidence before I can even back up any of them. But
Yes.
it just feels a little weird that we're starting to have all this evidence fall into our lap involving this organization, which might be so thorough and so subtle that it has the ability to steal away the feeling of life in an area to hide their tracks.
Someone on some side or another is feeding us. You're right in that much, I'm certain.
I guess the only other thing I wanted to ask is, have anywhere I can sleep here for the night? Kind of want to be within quick access of our new
Detainee.
retainee. Thank you. Just trying to look for the term. Yeah, I want to be within quick distance if anything goes wrong, or if somebody tries to take him away. I want to know about it and potentially get on the tail to see what's what.
Yes, I'm sure we can organize chambers for you. Or, there's still a little time in the night. Pick someone cute and seduce them.
He kind of just like looks around here. I thought everybody in this time of night around the Elysium was a vampire.
So?
Some of them have rooms here. Actually, no, there are also ghouls that are awake in this area.
But I'm sure sleeping with somebody else's ghoul, unless they're some weird sort of swinger vampire, it's also something you don't want to do.
Tell you what, give me a... I guess wits empathy roll?
I'll do that.
Yeah, wits empathy seems about right.
Wits empathy.
Yeah.
3 successes.
Okay. I suppose it's technically a reasonable observation that, sure, ghouls do have certain masters, but amongst many of them, particularly amongst ones who just operate in the Elysium as workers, have their own degree of autonomy. It's kind of safe to say that if you interact with them, short of like, not drinking from them without permission or anything like that, or trying to give them your own vitae, you're probably free to like, such as it were, fuck about. Again, like if you brought harm to them for any reason, if you tried to, steal them away yourself or subvert their tasks within the Elysium, you'd be looking at some very serious problems. Or you'd be looking at some very interesting mind games. That said, absolutely nothing wrong with taking one down to Slamtown and trying to snooze on their couch.
Best not to get involved in that if I don't have to. So there's just some kind of closet you can stick me in for the night.
Tell you what, roll me 40-10.
Hey man, all I'm saying is I was a college student.
Yeah.
Kind of get used to sleeping like shit after that.
Yeah, give me 40-10. Alright. So, Tim, even as you're saying this, you recognize the cunning features of Ben Batch as he approaches. Why, what's this? Would you happen to be looking for a little roommate?
I'm gonna make a wits empathy roll to figure out how much butt fuckery is in that request for roommates.
Sure, give it a go. You suspect that you might be his type, but he's not out and out trying to initiate the fuck with you. More like he just seems amused that someone has put it themselves in this position at this late at night.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
And he is Timothy's child, so he probably does want to do things like do Tim a solid and help out members of the coterie.
Okay.
It doesn't mean he's not amused. He's very amused by it all, but you know that's just part and parcel.
Right.
He's very British, which means he's a smug cunt like me.
Well, considering how I still don't have the vampire pride card to play, I'll just be like, yeah, I have some work I need to stay over and do, and having a place to sleep over here for the night would be convenient.
Oh, but of course, I happen to have a very accommodable room. Presumably you're not wishing to share the bed. I do have a sofa. I'm even told that it folds out, not that I've tried.
Sofa's fine. Just need somewhere to lay my head, so to speak.
Yep, and then he will bow politely to Tim. Sir Tim?
Benedict, it's a pleasure to see you.
I'm going to make a test for him and see how on the ball he is, because, your shadow is wigging out, so there is definitely something different about you to him that he can perceive. Like, he's seen you be a weirdo shadow person before. It's kind of impossible for him not to have, but... let's go with... In fact, before I even roll, would you like to try and set me a target of successes by giving me a... Wits Composure?
Sure. Any modifiers?
I don't think this plays into your being wanton, and I'm pretty sure you are... Oh, yeah, sorry, no. In fact, could you give me either wits or composure and empathy... Sorry, no, not empathy. Expression. That's presenting yourself. My bad. And I don't think you have any merits related to keep a straight face. I don't think you have the poker merit. No. Okay, so yeah, just those. That'll set my TN.
Yeah. The only thing is, given the closeness of the two and and the fact I have a retainer merit for Ben.
I mean, those two basically cancel each other out because it would be a bonus of dice for him and you, so I'm just calling it flat anyway. Like, by the same merit of you being known to him and he being known to you, it goes both ways. Okay, so no, he definitely sees that there is an oddity to you, and you do catch it in his eyes, because I'm not even going to bother. He is terrible at lying. He's just wank at it. So I'm not going to bother. You definitely detect in him that he can see that something weird has gone on. He goes, yes, it's good to see you as well. Perhaps we could talk later. I've done some more research. It seems you've probably got a few tales to tell yourself.
Yes. Did Claire stop by? No, you had that book for her.
Yes, she stopped by briefly, although I believe it was to speak with her elder. I did pass along the book too, but it was a very brief thing. She said she was quite busy looking into something. And then I believe they dropped some requests. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. How much did you observe? Wow, 4 4s. Incredible. Yeah, no, he doesn't have any more information on that. She stopped by, spoke with her elder, took the book from him, and then left.
Excellent. That is Claire, always the industrious one.
I prefer to think that she's just somehow figured out how to avoid the social necessities. Terribly useful trick. Yeah, okay then. So you're welcome to split between your rooms, and hey DCL. Benedict's room looks interesting.
It looks what?
Interesting.
Interesting how?
You know those like typical like detective drama things where you can see the strings connecting pictures everywhere?
Yeah.
He's basically got that, except it's like mounted in a little like a sphere, if anything. It's not like wall to wall, but instead he's got a standing post. Imagine like you would just have holding up a lamp. Indeed, it looks like it was probably a lamp. It's got a light bulb in the center of it, although that's currently turned off. And the lampshade has been removed, and instead there are like little metal wires that are holding pictures apart, so that strings can be held between them all. And on a cursory inspection, you can see that they are related to what you've been looking into recently. The whole matter of this side job and trying to tie up the threads.
Before a week ago, I would have said that might have been a little too excessive about this.
But then
Now
you've
I'm not
probably
so
seen that
sure.
document and realized that his document is pretty much a representation of the strands.
Yep.
Yep. Okay,
Well,
yes,
since-
I do have to update that. I'm hoping to do so in the morning, actually, once you've uncovered some more information from our new guest. If at all possible, of course.
Well, at least I know who to come to with tomorrow's answers, if not Timothy.
Oh, of course, I mean, to be perfectly honest, he comes to me after you go to him in a lot of cases. I would be all too happy to see the middleman cut out, if only so that I can get first-hand accounts. Not to say, not telling him that would be dumb. You can certainly tell him, but feel free to also tell me, so he doesn't have to.
Of course, of course. I'll be glad to work with somebody else on this. I need another mind on things as this trail just gets more and more wonky.
Wonky, I say it's getting more interesting, and as we add more strands here, and he just like randomly points to a number of pages, you start to see where all these lines intersect, yes? And he'll point that like some of these lines are crossing over at points where they refer to each other along this sphere that he's developed. Eventually, if enough of these converge and dissect, it's the real reason that people do these, mind you. If enough of these lines here can like converge and join together, then we will reach our Occam's razor, our most obvious result, and that will either be the correct one or the most obvious of the lies.
Hopefully we reach this before Seven starts coming after us. You do know they're involved, right? Might be deadly for you to even be involved in this investigation.
It's a little bit too late for that, considering I am Sir Timothy's child. So I might as well get involved, see them caught sooner, and reduce the risk to myself.
Fair enough. Real quick,
Sure.
I want to kind of mentally calculate what would be the usual sortie kind of that would have been sent out for this job, right? People didn't go to the party. You need people to figure out who and why. What would be the usual people sent out? What would be their usual level of ability?
I mean, it would be yours, but they would also... I mean, it would be yours, or even, lower down the poll. It just happened to be that this was a job that was available, and your group chose to pick it up. And it's turned into something far more complicated that would then have probably been pushed to you guys anyway, because you are the more competent coterie group and have dealt with the precursors to this Seven arrival, vis-a-vis the Strix.
I guess what I'm really asking was with those weird creatures that we went up against, would those have been able to take out anybody who would have been expected to kind of gotten to this point of the investigation?
Possibly. What they would have done is run the fuck away and called in knights. Or whatever. Some people have specific Covenant Guardians. Claire, for instance, is a professional nerd who can't shoot for shit. However, she has the amazing ability to call in professional ass-kicking machines known as axes. It so happens that your group is one of those higher up the totem pole because you can, at its face value, deal with a matter instead of having to run away and get reinforcements to come on your behalf later. I also want to add, that is also, it's something that you guys can do if you're ever in a situation. Nothing say you can't just fucking run and call for backup. I will make that one clear. But that's what people usually do when they're further down the totem pole and, aren't capable fighters, because not many of them walk around with professional vampire killers such as yourself.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, if that was a setup, what was the expected outcome and why, I guess.
Do you try and voice this with Benedict?
You know what? Yeah, sure. He seems like he's at least involved in the thought process. I'll relay to him the events of tonight and try to ask him, I know, I keep thinking about that. And, you know, if it was a setup, what kind of person was expected to be there, and how well do you think they would have been able to run away and deal with it? They did seem like they had kindred strength. I don't know about speed personally, but yeah, they were not to be trifled with. It was just due to my fighting techniques, and it was
Rip blindo.
yeah, I was able to fucking just like blind them and make them useless, pretty much.
Sure, it's late, so you don't have time to give him the full idea of the capabilities, and he will let you know that he'll want a full recap come morning. But in brief, the assumption that he can draw from this is either that they underestimated what the Pale Men could do and did expect them to wipe out a coterie, or to wipe out police that come knocking before the vampires turn up, in the idea that vampires can handle them, fucking normal human plebeians can't. Or C, if it happened as a trap, for instance, people went straight for the location of Mr. Jacob Cabs, they would find themselves stuck at the top of the stairs with terrifying monsters between them and the exit. Those are his three guesses, but he'll need more information from you later to try and posit further. But they are three sensible suggestions.
Fair enough. For now, I will sleep.
Yep. Okay. And while that's occurring, Lily!
Hey, I'm actually here.
You are here, you made it! So, in your case, when the hunt ended, you got in contact with Rose, I believe, and passed on that, yo, by the way, there is another Blindo vampire, yes? You were the one to tell her? Yeah? Maybe, yes, no?
Maybe.
I know that someone did. Then, whatever.
I went to clear without going blind.
No one else knows apart from Claire.
Yeah.
You get a text from her as you're motorbiking back with a shit-faced Etienne, who usually would have riding behind you, but instead you've got her sat in your lap so you can hold her between the fucking the fucking bars, so she doesn't just tumble off because she has 3 sheets to goddamn wind. You get a text. Etienne insists that she can read it for you if you let her rummage around in your pockets.
I will stop.
And she'll pout. And presumably still actually just stay clung to you when you come to a stop and check your phone. It is indeed from Claire. And she informs you, hey dude, because of course everyone knows Claire's Californian. Kidding. God, how even? Hi Rose, I've been informed that there is actually a Botticelli who's been acquired by your group. Also, good job on that. Glad you didn't all die. I'll be stopping by at some point tomorrow in the afternoon, then brackets, noon to us, to look into this person more specifically. It might be that they would be a very good clue about stopping whatever is happening to you. Or you would be a very good clue about him. Hard to say. Let me know if there are any changes.
Yeah, I'll text back. Perfect. Just try and keep this under wraps.
There's a long pause, and she responds, "Oh, it's no problem. I happen to know a few dragons who'd be very interested in a vivisection. Purely academically speaking, of course."
I will text back. Remind me not to look up vivisection.
Then your response back is a thumbs up emoji. And then, presumably, because occasionally she has a sense of humor, an eggplant emoji.
And then a water spurt emoji.
Yeah, of course. No, she only got the eggplant part. She's like, I don't get the eggplant. Oh, right, yeah, it's looked like... You know what, I'm not going to text twice. Just to get the water in a separate text. Put this glass up. Oh no, wine bottle, why are you emptying? Oh no, God. That's a full glass at least. Yeah, so you will pass that information. Etienne will in fact ask, have you gotten any blinder?
Not yet,
Good.
thankfully.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you think the dreadlocks guy is gonna suck my dick for real?
hope so. I made it one of my aspirations.
You what? Okay, cool.
Oh, it's out of character.
Yeah, appeal. No. I mean, she's so blasted that it's just a peek behind the meta.
I sure. I don't know. Do you? We'll talk when you're not.
Fucked up.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, I hope Emma
that's
is at
actually
home.
what you want.
I'm pretty sure it is. It seems
We'll
like
talk
it's a
it out
lot of
with
fun.
Emma, maybe.
I mean, she'd probably like to watch, like popcorn and stuff.
We'll talk it out before we go theorizing.
I bet if you had a dick, she'd blow you.
Probably. I would let her blow me.
I just hope so.
Why
Say,
can't there
eh?
be? Why
Huh?
can't there be a vampire fucking bloodline that makes you grow a dick instead of makes you go blind, huh?
Ah, like a dickacelli.
Yeah.
Or a
Bada dick-
badapini.
Bada dicky.
Badapini. Is it a crazy Italian pasta dish? Or is it growing a penis? You decide.
Man, why have vampires gotta be such shit?
I mean, to be fair, couldn't you try and ask a special vampire wizard like Claire if you can try and grow a magic vampire bloodline dick and make your own with blackjack and hookers?
I mean, that shit's weird.
Sure. I suppose my only problem would be that a lot of vampire stuff is like blood-centric, and I'm concerned then what that means for the growth of a penis. I know a lot of blood happens there, so... I freak myself out.
Well, my situation, my equipment's kind of the same way.
Well, of course, but I also don't think you've drunk from my penis yet. Or if you did, I don't remember it. Or at least
No.
not blood. Huh.
You mean you don't want bites? I mean, nobody wants bites down there.
No, it's called a cumpire, thank you. Like, I've seen this. I've seen enough porn to know where the cumpires are going. That would be an interesting covenant. In fact, I guess you would call it a cum line instead of a bloodline. Yeah.
Something tells me stuff like that does not exist.
Fucking, there's so much shit that we did not know exists, and maybe it does.
The world is so fucked up, though.
I
I've
know,
read-
so come on, surely there's gotta be one
I've-
that's really cool.
No, but I mean, it's fucked up in a bad way.
Yeah,
Like,
I
I don't
know.
think the good stuff actually exists.
Oh, but you exist. She'll like reach
Or
up
it
and
was
pinch your
taken
cheek.
out by the bad stuff, because like the bad stuff is always like so much more efficient.
Oh, it's just edgier, not
Like,
more
imagine
efficient.
how much cum you'd have to drink. Like
I mean, I'd like to try and think about it, but you don't have a
I
penis.
take I take a lot out of you guys when I drink. Imagine having to drink that much cum.
Oh
probably just
god! I mean, the
starve to
problem is keeping it warm enough. Like eventually, if you try and fill up like a beaker or something for like a lot, you know what? I'm getting into the wrong part of the
Exactly.
thinking.
The logistics of it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
You'd have to like just spend like 24 hours a day at a glory hole or something, probably in like a truck stop, because that's the only one that gets 24-hour service.
I don't know. I'd give you 24 hours service. I would need pills though, because
Yeah.
I'm an incredible person, but not that. I can't impossible
Your
that.
stamina is not that good.
Fucking prove it. It's pretty great though.
Even if it is, like,
I would start now, but
after-
last time we had sex, you fell asleep partway through, and you say
I
that's
just
because the
noticed-
sun rose, but still.
I just noticed DCL deafened himself.
Oh my god.
Uh,
He did! He wrote dick fires not even once and muted himself.
I
Uh,
wrote that a little while ago, but
yeah, no. Yeah, no, should be like, yeah, last time we had fun, you fell asleep. And you could call it sunrise, all you want, but that's
Hey.
not the point.
I am supernaturally compelled to go to sleep when the sun comes up.
Sure, but maybe you could be supernaturally compelled to go to sleep after I've come up. And then she looks far too proud for coming up with that while she's fucking blasted.
Oh, please. I have gotten you to come up several times.
Well, sure. But you didn't that night. It was super disappointing. Especially since Emma was at her house.
Well, don't get frisky like 10 minutes before I have to go to sleep.
But
I
it's
have
so
a
weird.
headache.
That's
I'll
very
say with a grin.
fucking tell you headaches is gonna be me in the morning after fucking the drinking. All the drinking.
Besides, we have another girlfriend.
This is true. But she wasn't there. She was at her place.
We'll give her a ring. Maybe we should let her move in too.
That'd be
Maybe-
cool. I mean,
we
isn't
need to
the
find a
apartment
bigger place.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So, tell you what, when you get that bar going, can we get just like a room in it? Like, just when you have the bar and then the club, and then above it's like a place. Get just a place up there. That'd be great. I'll live there. It'd be the
Not
best.
to live there.
No.
Never mix business with pleasure.
Oh, you know what? No, that's smart.
It's something I've definitely been wary about since I entered the vampire world, is not to let people know where I live.
That's fair enough.
If I just live above my club, then people are always like, yeah, that's where they are. So then we can just like firebomb them during the day. No, thank you.
Aren't we around though, so that people try and firebomb me, fuck them up with like guns and shit? Not that I ever want to see Emma try and fire a gun, and I think she'd be shit at it.
We should give her some training, but I mean, it's preferable not to have to do that.
That makes sense. You know what? You've got a point about the training thing, she says as you're like, gradually pulling up in front of your place. And there are like a whole bunch of people in your group, and yourself included, who are super shit with guns. I gotta get like all of you for like a fucking we'll rent out a place and get a shooting range. You get all you fucking nerds. And then she'll pause, and you're a nerd. You're a sweetie, and I love you, but you're a nerd. We're gonna get all the fucking nerds. We're gonna give you all guns. We'll teach you gun safety. And it's gonna be great. And then you're gonna shoot some guns at some stuff, and then I get to judge who is the best or shittest at shooting stuff.
I am not a nerd, okay? I drive a motorcycle.
You drive a motorcycle, but you stay up and watch cartoons until late hours of morning and get into arguments about book. Of course I do, but I didn't say I wasn't a fucking nerd. But I definitely called you all fucking nerds because you are too. But this point, you're probably carrying her indoors. Sure, but I mean, I'd say this much: you get like way more action than most nerds.
Exactly. How many have two girlfriends?
This is true.
Hot girlfriends.
This is very true. I appreciate it. I appreciate feeling romanced by you. You're a nerd. I adore it. But I also need to pass out now. And just like fucking slumps in your arms as you get through the door.
I will drag her to the bed.
Yep. She is of human endurance. But her body is pumped full of all of those feel-good drugs, so there is like one part of her that is still at attention, but presumably probably not of your interest right this moment. Or maybe it is. Fucking I don't know. I'm not the judge.
Not while somebody's unconscious.
Yeah, that is technically rape. That is technically rape. The worst kind of rape. It's just not the worst kind. But it's certainly up there with all of the other kinds.
So I will put her in like some pajamas. Go to bed.
Yep. Yeah, you are able to do so.
Get a glass of water and packet of Alka-Seltzer. Put it by the nightstand.
Yep. Save the companies, yeah. Oh boy.
Poor DCL.
Yep.
Oh, he's not deafened anymore.
Yeah, he's back. Found it very funny that after writing Dick Pies Man not even once, you just fucking deafened yourself so you'd have to listen to our bullshit. Okay, good talk, Mutio.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Yep.
I added myself muted as well.
Yep.
You missed my comments. I was talking about how the Rock's a nerd. He gets all the pussy.
Yeah.
Vin Diesel's a nerd too.
He is.
Well, either way.
We really should have a movie where The Rock and Vin Diesel are trying to put together like a D&D game.
We really should. It's a Travis. We're in the worst timeline because that hasn't happened. But
with Terry Crews.
worst
Fuck
timeline.
yes. Terry Crews, fucking Vin Diesel,
The Rock.
The Rock.
Let's just fucking add John Cena too, because he's
John Cena is a great nerd. Like, he would be amazing if you got him to play a bard. Like, he's definitely party bard material, I think.
He is aware of his own meme and he embraces it.
Yeah, no, and he knows he's got great mic skill. He would be a fantastic bard.
He would be. We could just have the fucking buff famous nerds the D&D game.
It would be the sweetest shit.
But does the next morning come? I mean, I guess the next night without issue.
Don't worry, DCL. It's coming.
You keep your hot food dick away from me until I get time to suck it. All right.
Yeah.
It's not mine. It sort of is mine.
Yeah, I mean, she belongs to you, which is a weird statement to make, and probably something that a feminist would get very hard up about. But sadly, that's just the fact. She is, she is literally addicted to you. Oh, I thought of another person for at the table. Bruce Willis. He'd be fun.
But yes,
see, all the other ones were like very much D&D nerds or something like that.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like Bruce Willis is a weird case where he actually used to be part of like a jazz and swing band because it was fun. Which, if you've ever heard it, it's not bad music. I'm not gonna lie.
Bruce Willis does not have a sense of humor, though.
Oh, that's true. He does not. He does not. But
yeah, when he worked with Kevin Smith, he hated it.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith said like Bruce Willis just fucking hated him. Had no sense of humor.
Yeah, fair enough.
All business all the time. So nah.
Oh, that's kind of a shame.
I'll consent to John Cena, even though he is not.
He's not a D&D nerd, but he is a fucking goober.
He'd be John Cena would be down.
He'd be down to clown.
Continuing on, next morning, I want to check to see if our Jacobs has been rendered conscious yet.
Very quickly before that,
Sure.
Scow, I assume that we all qualify for a point of willpower back.
Yes, you have been working for the coterie and you've been through a stressful situation in order to bring resolution to a matter. During this side job, yeah, you earned a willpower. You didn't spend the night fucking about for no good reason. So feel free to tick those on.
So the real problem here is 7. If they've been hyped up, then we won't know we've gone too deep, and so we're pretty much already dead, or they're trying to kill us. And I'm not sure we can fucking pull a Born conspiracy and just come out unscathed. So
yeah, so 1 second, I'm gonna get a caffeine pill.
But at the same time, they're not. If they're just being hyped up, they're not that good for whatever reason. Then we're simply just catching them, maybe unawares, and we might be on to a lot more. Chances of that are kind of low. I don't know.
Yeah. But now whenever you say it, so just imagine that you're just in talks with Ben as just like you're just intelligent, speaky mouthpiece.
Yeah, I guess I'm talking to Ben on this. It's just like, yeah, fucking. It feels like it feels a little too much like we're being played, or we're not touching anything important.
Well, I mean, that's always a possibility. However, I think that if you get too caught up in certain parts of the minutiae, you'll miss the big point. Some of them have got to be slip-ups, statistically at least. If they have succeeded 100% with everything they wanted to pass along, I feel like there are pieces missing from a portrait that they could be painting in more pseudo-subtlety. I think that some of these are mistakes that they've made. Not all of them, but some of them. Let's put it this way. Imagine you were putting together a great big conspiracy. and you wanted a particular coterie of very successful people to look into it, with a very good investigator doing a lot of the background checking, at which point he pats himself on the chest. And then imagine all the things you could try and get them to believe, as long as you made it look like a subtle enough fact. That hasn't happened 100% of the time. Indeed, we still have questions, and by this point you'd think all of them would be answered, but in the way they wanted them answered. So I do think that some of these clues here, and he'll point out a few numbers of them, are legitimate fuck-ups of theirs.
Well, it's impossible to be perfect. Just worries me that we're the ones having to tackle them now. Apparently they've been around for a while.
Oh, of course, but I mean, we haven't heard any cities get entirely wiped out by them, I think.
Fair enough.
So I imagine
Suppose
they
don't-
get dealt with properly, and he'll, air quote, from relatively often.
Suppose we just gotta ask Jacob and see what comes out.
Yep. Right. As for things that he thinks are actual mistakes they've made, and he'll tell you as much, the fact that Cotton Eye acted at all means that he had some idea he was being hunted.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks that's a legitimate mistake that the Seven made, is revealing their hand to Cotton Eye, and he knew he had to act. He thinks that that's a legitimate one. And by the same connection, he has the satellite phone, memory stick, and all that shit, the matching revolver. He's gone through that all, by the way. It's not come up with massively useful information. But he had this, get the fuck out bag, and he had contact. He's pretty sure that that also means that Chef knew what was up. And he thinks that Chef and Cotton Eye knowing what was going on, or having an idea of what was going on, is a mistake the Seven made. That's all he can tell you right now, though. That's what he's fairly certain, at least. He says there's no way to know 100%, but as far as patterns are concerned, those two are the loose links, because there's a lot going on about the Mortrophians and the Batticelli. Not much about these two.
And then later I'll pick up investigation onto what those strange creatures were. And how you can erase the presence of everything and anything from a location.
Correct, Chef and Cotton Eye are still missing. You have not found bodies.
No, I'm not. However, we have at least 4 people missing right now?
That's correct, yes, including a rather high-profile duo in the form of 2 elders, which is impressive. Let's put it this way, there'd be quite a storm kicked up if Sir Timothy went missing, and he's not even an elder.
Jax and Tarina.
Yes.
Jax and Tarina, both of them have gone missing. It's been relatively soon.
Mm-hmm.
But they are fucking missing.
Indeed. Without a clue where they are.
Something big's going on. Either way, time to ask Jacob some questions.
Of course. I myself will be looking into some more information. I think that there are some sources that I can go to about the Seven, with Sir Timothy's permission, admittedly. At which point he'll leave at the same time as you to try and flag down Timothy.
I do want to know more about the Seven.
That's what I'm hoping to uncover, and Timothy, you see them both walking towards you come morning. And also, very strangely, you wake up with a headache. Not something that is common, especially since when vampires wake up, they're in perfect condition. But you have a headache. You've been hungover before. It feels like that. Although, blessedly, that extra sense presence, the whispering voice, it was loud when you lay down to sleep that night, but it is quiet now.
Can I make a wits empathy roll to see if I notice this on Timothy?
Give it a go. Likewise, a wits expression on Timothy. Oh, in fact, no, he's actually... Presumably, are you going to be hiding this fact from yourself? You hiding your discomfort?
Yes. If we're anywhere but other people might see.
Yeah, I mean, you're in the Elysium, so it's, keeping your shit together. I was going to say, it's not actually, if you're on purpose keeping it from you, it would be subterfuge, but doesn't matter. 1 beats 0, that's for fucking sure. So yeah, no, you managed to keep that shit under wraps.
Hey, Timothy. On our way to go question Jacob. No, not
Jacob.
Jacobs. Assuming he's awake. Of course, would be fitting if you came down with us.
We're questioning him before the vivisection.
We should. If anything is going on here, we want to get our questions before anybody else can get involved.
Yeah, and Ben will pause during. Oh, so Tim, would you be terribly bothered if I used your reputation to try and acquire more information about the Seven?
Go ahead, Benedict.
Much obliged, and he will give you a quick little bow. And it was a pleasure sleeping with you, DCL. Which he leaves entirely open-ended for presumably his own amusement.
They'll call him DCL.
I mean, yeah, he goes by Darian Culbreth, so DCL is a shorthand, and this individual is Smirt. It's the easiest way to make it look like they have indeed fucked by using a pet name. It amuses him.
Should have called him Salty then.
No.
Like high school sweethearts.
I'm gonna roll my eyes at that and go, come on, we got an investigation to do.
Yeah.
Very
Say, Bowers, my dear, would you like to roll for Ben's successes utilizing your reputation to acquire archives about the Seven?
Sure.
Oh, thank you, Reaper. Let's see here. 4 and 4, and what's your Invictus status?
3.
Alright then, can you roll 11d10, please?
Alright.
Okay, let's see here. 4 successes. Okay, I will come back to you later. It's going to take him time to uncover any information, but he is going to be reasonably successful. I'm going to make a responsive roll for how well is some of this information hidden by certain individuals. Don't you mind that, though. 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, yeah, no, he'll be able to uncover a reasonable quantity. Alright. So, you are going to inspect the holding cell of Jacob Cabs?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. You head downstairs to where the, garage / motor pool is. There is an adjacent, hallway with rooms in it. That's where the cell is. DCL, you would recognize the same vampire who picked him up that night is the one guarding this morning. Presumably swapping shifts with whichever ghoul was there during the day. Air quotes. Until not in recognition of you both. However, you can see that there are 2 other individuals who are talking amongst each other. They look everything like professors. I wish there were an easy way to sum them up, but you know when you look at someone and go, that guy teaches some kind of class somewhere.
Yeah.
There are 2 individuals, a man and a woman. They both look undeniably like professors. However, they have the unnecessarily pale skin. Makeup is a little bit too bright on them. And you can see tattoos of the esoterica along the necks of 2 of them that seem to trail off down into their clothing. And you can make out a couple of symbols as being of an occult nature. At least Timothy you have a dot at least of occult, so you can see that they have markings of an occult nature. Do you want to make a roll for trying to figure out what you're looking at?
Sure.
Anything you know about vampire society will help you. Not your status specifically, but it's about society. Likewise, DCL, you would know some stuff. You probably have a -1 because I don't think you have any occult knowledge, but otherwise you can try a dice roll.
What kind of dice roll?
Let's see what Tim rolls, and you can probably just pick the same.
Okay.
see. I would think either like intelligence occult or intelligence politics. Maybe?
Let's go with intelligence politics, seeing as occult is the negative roll on DCL's part. DCL, likewise, you can roll intelligence politics if you so desire. Oh, look at you fucking coming out with the dice on 2. Awesome. Okay. So, Timothy, you see them and you draw a blank. However, DCL, they were mentioned to you specifically at a point. These are dragons, much like Clara's one, before you suddenly think of the like fantasy fire-breathing monster dragons. I mean, dragons as in the like fucking Agonistes or whatever it is, people. Order Dracal, even, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, instantly thought you meant like dragons.
Yeah, no. Dragons as in members of Order Dracal, practitioners of magic and like research and investigation. However, you also noticed that some of the like that tattoo on their necks, that banding, isn't just like occult symbols, but you can see that there is a record of rank, just so that you know who to address. Usually is why you were taught these ranks before. Indeed, in Hedra's words, like, you should always know the right people to suck up to. It feels like a pragmatic enough statement that she would make.
Yeah.
And indeed, these rankings make sense to you. These look to you like elite practitioners of research, the kind of people who put together information that Claire would read from. She herself is definitely on her way to being of their level, if not already equal to them, but they've probably just got more experience by years.
All right, then I guess I will give a polite bow to the higher ranking one. I don't know if handshakes are something that they do.
I mean,
Old vampires.
bowing is traditional. Handshaking is fine. When you choose to bow, they bow in response, but there was probably not a wrong answer to that. I will also add that Order Dracal are basically the same across the board. None of them are political. They give a fuck less. they really don't care. Claire is a prime example of I stay out of that shit, whereas the Invictus are opposite to that. They are the politics.
Yeah. I assume both of you are here for the same reason we are, and I'll address the higher ranking one just to kind of subtly tip off Timothy, even though I'm not. I don't know I'm doing it, but
Yeah. I mean, a character like Timothy, you can take the social cue. DCL appears to know which one to refer to, even though neither of them have taken a particular like stand of proprietariness. It is a woman. You can see that her hair is ravenette. It has been bound up in tight braids. She's got a pair of glasses on, although you can see that the frames in, just looking at it with your vampire-y good eyes, they're just glass frames. Presumably before she turned, she probably had shitter eyesight. Didn't want to lose the glasses.
Fair enough.
She will nod and go, "You're here for a vivisection as well. I hadn't painted you the academic type. Oh, you just mean our Jacob Cabs here, our mystery vampire. We are here for the same reason of seeing him. Presumably our intentions are slightly different to your own."
We are interested in the vivisection, but I actually wanted to get some questions in before that.
Well, here comes the gentle issue. If he were to be awoken for questioning, then we would have to put him to sleep again to vivisect him, unless you would like him quite conscious for it. We're willing to do so, but it is distasteful and inefficient.
Rather cruel. How hard is
That
it to put
too,
him to,
yes.
How hard is it to put him back to sleep? These questions are kind of important with everything.
We
going
would
on.
have to stab him through the heart, which we have now learned is on the other side.
I'll look up at Timothy and go, "Do you know which one would give us the more yield of information?"
I would rather wait instead of having to stab him. That would be quite distasteful.
That is correct. If you've got any curiosities about the vivisection process, though, I'd be happy to inform you. She seems,
Yes,
for the first time, rather animated about this prospect of nerdliness.
I guess I do have some questions. First off, what does it involve?
Well, at its very heart, a vivisection is committed when you perform surgical operations on a sleeping individual to learn about their innards. That's it at its very most basic cause, of course. What we go into explores the more esoteric nature of one's personable being, their bloodline, their specific quirks. There's a lot you can learn about someone when they still exist. Trying to perform such actions on someone who has been introduced to the final death, less so efficient, although admittedly he was recently turned. We would learn more than other dissections we've got in our files.
I'm curious. You can determine bloodline. How precise might you be? Could you, for instance, identify the sire?
Now we meet the crux of the matter, and we're very interested in who the sire might be. Usually someone claims such individuals, and, well, we can learn, yes, who a sire might be for a vivisection. Admittedly, that information takes longer, since we have to actually turn to matters magical to divine such details, for want of better phraseology. We could discover their sire. It will take time, but it can be uncovered during the process of the vivisection, or at least the necessities can. That information then is shipped on to our fellow dragons, who will look into the further matter.
The vivisection doesn't kill them, of course.
Well,
No,
no. It would quite defeat the object of a vivisection to render them from viv to die.
How long will they have to take to recover from the vivisection? Wake them up right after?
Well, unless their bloodline happens to exhibit any peculiar weaknesses or inabilities to receive vitae, such as some are known to have such curses, we can responsibly just fill them up with blood until they are operative again, and their wounds are resolved. Whilst one's body is in torpor, applied blood not done so for the necessity of waking them will generally restore wounds, restore one to their state. Or you could simply wait for the very next day when the body naturally resits itself. Not reshits itself.
I at least have one last question. Is
Of
it
course.
usually procedure in these kinds of situations to do a vivisection?
Well, they're a very rare case. One of your... Oh, I'm just going to say one of your own. She doesn't know that you guys are the same coterie as Claire. A certain dragon from this location, one Claire Corex Rosencourt, recommended the appropriation of a vivisection to acquire information on... They are presumably a Botticelli, and they exhibit their bloodline's rather interesting penchant of bloodline vampirism. Or bloodline symbiosis, I suppose.
So just to make sure, this was recommended from Claire, correct?
That's correct. Are you familiar with her? I believe she is expected in the next hour or so. We were hoping to wait for her arrival.
Yes, yes.
She
I do
is
know.
a personal friend of ours.
Why, very delightful. No wonder you're involved in the matter.
Well, if it's not usual procedure and it did come recommended from Claire, I suppose I can wait to have my questions.
It would be appreciated. As I said, if you would wish to go first, this Elysium is not in our control, and I can see that at least the individual there is Invictus, and rather than start an argument, we'd let you go first. We'd just have to re-torpor himself afterwards, which, again, admittedly unpleasant and inefficient, but the things we have to undertake for the education and pursuit of knowledge, understandable.
Hmm.
Forgive me for asking, but would you permit me to sit in on the vivisection? It sounds like it would be most interesting.
Oh, it would be. I wouldn't recommend inside the same room while we vivisect. There are a number of rituals that their disruption would be inconvenient. During the gathering of information, things like stray follicles and molecules escaping from the body during vivisection can pose a threat, considering the nature of their bloodline. That, and as well, it is very annoying having people just nearby when doing it. But we can happily do so in a windowed room, if the Elysium is happy to prepare one, and you can observe.
So it's something as if like setting up a magical clean room.
Yes, that is the most appropriate comparison.
I think the window idea would be good. We definitely both want to see what's going to be involved in this.
Of course. Would you like us to speak during it? Usually we don't so much bother as record the information post, but if we have observers, I'm sure we can break protocol at least somewhat for the education of others.
That would be nice.
I will have to wear a mask then. Terrible misfortune there that we have to do the breathing thing to speak.
Sorry to inconvenience you like this.
Oh no, the pursuit of knowledge is far more important.
I will nod at that. I suppose I should go off and try to see if the Invictus can secure the room. Do I have your permission, Timothy?
Yes. Go ahead, Darian.
Right.
Much appreciated.
I'll be right back.
So
And,
yeah.
Walk off and go ask him about that.
Sure, they're happy to seed that for you. There is, the Elysium itself is built into an aquarium, which is just something that delights me to no end. So they do have windowed rooms.
Nice.
They insist that they will displace the seals to another room, and have the cleaner scrub the room down, and just bring in a table. Basically, what they're going to do is perform it inside a really big fish tank.
Fair enough.
It's fucked
Fair
up.
You say fucked up, but I mean, it's a room. The fish tanks and aquariums are specifically built for observation.
Yeah. Makes sense. It's fucked up.
All fair. All very fair statements, all as one. Now, Claire is expected to arrive within an hour, and that's when this vivisection will occur. What do you do for prep? And while you're thinking of that, Lily, you wake up in the morning, which is, I'm sure, always a relief to yourself.
I wake up in the morning smelling like P. Diddy.
Yeah, I mean, you're welcome to brush your teeth with a bottle of Jack. Blessed is the vampire that is immune to cavities.
It's true. It's true. You never have to worry about that shit. I'm sure you still have to worry about bad breath. But, yeah.
Would vampire breath get that bad since you don't, produce unnecessary juices or bacteria? It's the bacteria part that'd be a problem, right?
Well, I imagine you kind of have to have a wet mouth to talk. You ever tried to speak with a dry mouth?
True, but also at the same time,
the tongue doesn't make the same type of noise.
It doesn't. It doesn't at all. Part of me is that's why vampires sound so hissy. Is because they aren't producing saliva. Because what is saliva but water your body produces, which you don't do unless you're regularly... Well, I guess maybe blood would just allow you to produce liquids, but I don't know. It's hard to say. Unless you're Blush of Life, I don't think you produce liquid in your mouth to speak with.
It's weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
But I imagine that stuff would still congregate.
Yeah, I suppose. You do have to be concerned about it. Not overnight. All that bacteria gets fucking wiped out come morning. So, in fact, if there's anything, vampires have to worry about their breath, maybe. Never about morning breath, because their body will reset itself, and any kind of bacteria or fungalites would be...
The body resets itself, but the stuff in the mouth, I wonder if that just disappears too, or if over time it could get worse if you don't actually take care of yourself.
I don't think it does, if for the only reason that a vampire being pulled out of a coffin isn't weird and fungusy. They aren't a site for bacteria to act because they don't have anything to eat. They don't produce skin flakes and stuff like that. Likewise, their tongue isn't going to be doing all that same job. I feel if they do have bacteria, that's just wiped out by process of their body getting
out of a coffin. This is one that's
same aspect though as well. Grind. Yeah, maybe. It's hard to say. Tell you what, roll me 1d10. If it's a 1, vampires have to deal with morning breath. No, I'm serious. Go for it. 1d10.
See how badly I can fuck over this universe.
You say fuck over. No, okay. So vampires do not necessarily have morning breath, although their breath is a concern. Make sense?
Okay.
If it were 10, I'd be like, nope, fucking vampires minty fresh. Aw, yeah. All the time. Now, you will have to brush your teeth if you want to just, smell nice throughout the day. Unless you never blush up, I suppose, in which case you just stay dead mouth the whole time. But
Oh
then you're
yeah,
speaking through dry tongue at all times.
I became a fucking thief, so I'd
Mm.
never blush out.
Yeah, you are forever blushed. So you have to care anyway.
So, yeah, is Etienne around? I will look around.
Okay. So you look around. Roll me 1d10.
Oh boy, did my eyesight get worse?
Your
It's a high
eyesight,
roll.
yeah, your eyesight doesn't appear to have declined in any reasonable fashion. There's like a twinge of irritation and discomfort that's unfamiliar to you, but it's very, very momentary. And when your eyes do that whole like when your eye does that whole come into focus thing, for a moment you're thinking, oh shit, my vision's shitter than it was. But like, on actually like testing yourself and looking at your fingers close up to far away to figure out your sightedness, it's okay. It's the same as it was yesterday.
I'll go peer in a mirror.
When you peer in the mirror, you can see that you look pretty good, although there are lipstick marks on your forehead and your cheeks. Looks like Etienne has left for the day.
Damn ghouls, they're supposed to be around when I wake up.
I mean, she has a phone.
No, fine. I will call. Oh no, Claire's probably just getting up too. So she'll have nothing new for me. I'll get ready.
Sure.
It's still early in the evening.
Yes, very early. It's everyone's wake up time.
Let me knock off of Vitae.
Yep.
Then with Etienne gone, I'm gonna get in proper road leathers, helmet, and all that. I'm gonna swing by my daughter's house.
Okay, cool.
There's nobody here at the moment. I'm waiting on Claire.
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna just do something reckless.
Nice. All right, yeah. You bike to your daughter's house. Now remind me, what is the family that she's staying with like?
Her father.
Yep.
I believe just mentioned that he was like a caring father. So,
Mm-hmm.
Middle class. I don't know. I hope upper middle class, but probably around
it's probably middle class
middle.
these days, just because he spent a period of time with the child not pulling dual income.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, still certainly middle class living. All right, yeah. As you pull up, you can see that there is, like they have a front lawn, which is, it's impressive enough. It's not big. Don't get me wrong. You're still in a city. No one has a big front lawn in a city. They have reasonable back lawns in some places, but it's a small front lawn. But it's large enough to have a doghouse. I mean, it's also twice the size of any doghouse you've literally ever seen. But you've also seen her dog, and it's a fucking, Tibetan Mastiff of a dog.
Mm-hmm. She has mouse.
Yeah, that's right. When I was thinking of, like, what kind of kid would she have? And then suddenly I thought of the fucking mouse story, and it's like, mouse, go take care of her. It's like, oh, heartbreak. Yeah.
Rose is Harry Dresden.
You're Rosie Dresden. Oh god, DCL, was it you I ribbed on for being DCL Dresden?
I believe so. I forget for why.
I don't remember which character it was.
I don't. I think shit.
Which
What
character did I tease for being a Dresden? We played
Shit,
too much shit.
I remember this, but I don't know what character either.
And it caught you out, like, to an incredible degree.
I'm
God
just gonna
damn it. That's gonna bother me.
I'm just gonna take that as a sign I play a diverse and
Yeah,
many
yeah, a
characters.
diverse cast of Dex fags.
I'll take that.
Diverse cast of monks and rogues.
Hey
Yep.
man, I
He's
wore
got
my
to.
Dex
How are
flag.
you enjoying Wizard? Total aside.
Wait, I didn't answer that. For right now, I basically just get to sit back and cast Firebolt. And the spell selection I had wasn't useful right away, but that's because I was thinking more role play stuff instead of short campaign thing.
Right.
So I basically just know I haven't had a chance to shine. It's level 1.
Fair
I'm
enough. But yeah. I look forward to hearing how your opinions on Wizards develop. Regardless, so yes, yeah, I suppose you are this setting's Dresden at the very least. But yeah, when you arrive, you can see that that dog is like laid out underneath their little doghouse. The weather's a little bit overcast. I mean, it's dark. The lamppost is not far from their house, so it's a well illuminated street. And the dog is sort of like slumped up across there. Its like eyes have opened and it's watching as you pull the spike up. What do you do?
Is there any sign of the daughter?
Of the daughter. The lights are on in the house. You want to give me a wits composure for listening?
I'm very good at listening right now,
Yeah.
so I don't know what the benefit for that is.
+1 dice right now. Okay. So you're listening, and you can just make out like what can only be described as childish glee is occurring in, again, another admittedly hazarded guess, the lounge of this house. She is either playing or enjoying herself in some measure.
Good. Um, dog out front.
Yeah.
Don't want to.
There's a sign on the fence that says "Dog is friendly, pet me."
Animals and vampires don't tend to get along, so I'm not sure.
Is that really is that a thing in VTR?
Yeah, usually.
It's sort of a thing. It's a specific bane, but I don't think Rose has it.
No, yeah, I don't. Unless you have animal bane. No, animals are about around you as they were when you were a human. Tell me, would Rose smell like Rose always used to smell? Like, is there any like definable difference in the body odor you produce? As limited as it would be, but you actually, wait, no, you're blushed right now, so yeah, it would be as it always was, surely.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're like perched there on your bike, have you like turned it off, or is it still chugging over?
I keep it on. Yeah.
Sure, the dog is going to, like, it's even though it's got a very big doghouse, it's still kind of too big, so it has to do like the walking forwards on its like front elbows and its back knees, like the crawl forwards to make sure its arse is clear of the door of this doghouse before it stands up. So it goes wiggle, 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 and then it can stand up properly. Yeah, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you, as a dog breeder, are aware of the dog shuffle, that the dog can do the dog shuffle.
Oh, yeah.
The dog does the dog shuffle, a number of steps forward worth, until it can stand up properly, and it's going to pad towards you.
I will cautiously get off my bike, approach the fence.
Sure. If you stop at the fence, the dog will likewise reach the other edge of the fence and then sit in front of you, probably maybe like a foot away if you consider like the boundary of the fence itself. Its head like more than clears the fence, but it's not leaning over the threshold of it. It's a well-trained boofer.
I will unglove my hand and hold it out in a friendly manner. The dog will
Sure.
sniff.
The dog will give you a hand to sniff. Like, it takes longer than a dog would usually take to figure out someone's scent, which makes sense. You're an unusual case. And you'd swear the dog looks over its shoulder because, it recognizes that scent. Like, that is still a shared hereditary thing. And, like, it looks confused.
You smell like master.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
You smell like master. And then it will look over its shoulder and look to you and sniff again and then lick your hand.
I will give him a scratch.
Oh, he seems delighted. He's happy to accept scratches. And his tail will wag. Big heaving wags of the tail. Like, it's a big tail and a big dog. It's heavy enough that it shifts his hips as it wags.
I will flip up the visor and say, "Dog, you take care of her, all right? Give him a few more scritches."
Sure, I mean, you probably word it out loud like a question, and as a dog's wants, it will give you an affirmative boof. It doesn't matter what a question is when you question a dog. Their boofs are always affirmative boofs. But it will boof at you affirmatively as you scritch him.
And then give another glance to the house.
Yeah, you can still hear giggling and amusement from the downstairs. Their curtains are drawn, but there's a light on. Maybe it might just be a trick of the eye. But you can see like a shadow cross the boundary of the curtains that were dancing around.
Pat the dog on the head and get out of there.
Yep, alright. The dog will whine a little bit when you choose to leave, but it's a dog, you'll get over it.
Sure.
And yeah, you're able to bike up. Would you like to give yourself a willpower?
I will not reject it.
There you go then. You can have a willpower. You've made a step, the first step since this campaign, since this game first began, into directly coming close to your touchstone.
Jeez. Just give Rose like 15 years to reveal her identity to the daughter. Turn her into a ghoul.
Look, it could take a long time, and maybe you will. It wouldn't be the first time it's happened, I'm sure. Yes. With this bottle of wine empty, I will be right back to fetch a fresh one, and we can continue on. Feel free to everyone, go drink, go grab snacks, go pee, etc. Be right back.
but it's a matter of one, it will make him a bigger target because Kendrick fighting can be the difference between getting scrubbed and turning the tables on a more powerful vampire.
Yeah.
And two, that I need Hedra's permission first because anything I teach Timothy and he uses comes back under my responsibility.
Makes sense. Yeah, you can make an official message to her like, "Yo, the leader of my coterie could probably use a few pointers."
Yeah.
It'll take time to get a response, but yeah.
At least for now, there are some few basic techniques that I should be able to teach you without getting in trouble. Things anybody could pick up on. It's the higher level stuff that I would need permission for.
Would you say it'd be fair to put an extra, like, experience point of cost then to initiate the Kindred Fighting Merit or whatever it's called?
Suppose so.
That does literally double the cost of a merit.
Yeah. I mean, even in mechanics, it's really the third and onward merits that actually turn the difference, and the first two are basically basic techniques anybody can pick up on.
Okay, yeah, alright. You can buy into them as normal then.
Yeah. Carve turns your damage into lethal, Pincushion lets you disable people, and Spray literally lets you carve away Vitae, which is the important one for like high level vampire fights.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't use it because I'm not at that level yet, but if I was ever like in a big dick vampire fight,
You would want to be able to rip Vitae out of people, yeah.
Yeah, I would sacrifice defense just so I could rip Vitae as damage away.
Mm-hmm. Like, I'll level with you. Most elders in my setting have vaguely made up skill sets of those who have read the books a whole lot and don't have an edge over me. And also because making stuff up is fun.
Yeah.
I do use Vitae as a resource for most of the shit they do still.
Yeah, you'd want to rip away all that Vitae. Elder Vampire is not that powerful, at least not as powerful. They don't have Vitae to spend to recover wounds and do magical bullshit.
Their stat blocks, as a general rule, aren't very different from your own. Like, maybe they'll be like the odd one or two people that have like a 5 or 2 in their stat block, but otherwise not really. They tend to have dice pools, and their abilities are Vitae based. And they
The reason why you
are
still kind of
operatively on the average.
The reason why you still kind of need to be big dick to use them, though, that last merit is because you have to sacrifice your defense, like, completely to do Vitae damage.
Worthwhile skill.
Yeah. So it's usually something you don't want to do unless you yourself are a boss and you are also fighting a boss.
Yep. This one is an interesting one.
Yeah, I very much like how Kendrick fighting kind of aligns both mechanically and narratively for what it is.
Makes sense. Is Lily here or is she disappear?
What?
Oh, hi there.
I've been here.
Yep.
I was all like, they're talking in character to each other.
Yeah, that's a bit of a waste since I set myself to mute while I went up to go get drinks and stuff and ran a quick music break. But, you know, I came back and heard speaking in voice and I was like, oh, fuck. Oh, well.
It's okay. It was in text and I was just like, I can say this faster.
Yeah, the text stuff was interesting. I got the recap and that's okay. Yeah.
Right.
Lily, as you're biking up to leave, you get a text.
I will check it.
Okay.
Pull on over and check it.
Oh, this is before you've actually left, so you can check it before you leave.
I still want to move on. I don't want to get caught.
Fair point.
Hanging out here.
Very fair. Damn, I can't roll secret dice against you. Okay. So yeah, you move on a little bit and then check. And it is from Claire. She announces that she is off to go either observe or take part in the vivisection of the mysterious Blindo. And asks if you would like to be there for it.
Ew. I will thank her for the invitation, but I'm not gonna pass.
Jacobs is a Blindo.
Hard pass.
She doesn't know that Blindo is a different pale person. Jacobs to her is Blindo because he's just a blind vampire.
Good point.
She was never there for the incarnation of Blindo. The one true Blindo. Alright, so then when you pass your save, fair enough. I will instead just let you know what we discover. And she'll also check that your eye hasn't gotten like worse overnight, which you can confirm. No, it's cool.
So far.
So far. Anything else you want to bring up with her?
No, the eye is fine. I wish her luck on her Vivi from Final Fantasy IX.
Sweet. There's probably like a longer pause before the response of that. Like, okay, cool. And then a talk to you then, and a smiley face.
Have fun storming the castle.
Hmm. By the way, I've baked cheesy nibbles. No tasty. By the way, I've stolen all the moisture in my mouth.
Measy chibbles.
You didn't need it. You're becoming a vampire anyways.
It's true, I don't need that mouth moisture. No, they're really tasty, and I was hungry, and I pseudo regret eating them and continue to eat them because running out of saliva.
I had a Caesar salad wrap, but pretty sure it was verbal. It was hearable for me eating that.
Was the wrap hot fire?
The hottest fire.
Yeah.
No kidding, I rarely eat a wrap unless it's fucking loaded with chili oil. Nom nom nom. Someone asked if Rose rolls a 10, does the eyesight get better? Well, that would be telling, Claw. That would be telling.
I can't wait to use spray so I can go Quentin Tarantino.
Just being gross and picking my teeth. Really, up until the game today, I just did like no taking care of myself. I just sat and worked, and I went, "Oh yeah, time has passed. I should take care of me."
I should actually do things humans need to do to continue survival.
Normal human acts. Like a human does. But okay, alright.
Yes. I too am a human.
With my human fingers and feet.
Vivisection time.
Yeah, sure. So there is going to be a vivisection. Claire turns up and does customary social stuff with you guys. I don't want to do it myself because I don't want to speak for Stray's character, like outside of her sending texts. Really, it's not my place to do so. But she will be social with you and make sure that you guys are like not getting yourselves killed.
I would also say, you should probably make a roll for Claire to see if she notices that Tim's a little weird. Of the party, she's actually the one he has spent most time with, and is therefore most likely to notice, in my opinion.
True, she is however also the worst at social. Let's see here. If you want to make a wit subterfuge, I will wits composure. Alright. Yep, you beat her one, she does not notice. She is, however, excited about being part of a proper dragon vivisection. It's not something that she's got a chance to do yet, but she would love to produce facilities so they could be done in the Argus manner in the future. Yep, she exchanges, courtesies with the other dragons present, and they speak about a whole bunch of nerdy shit that goes moderately over your heads, and they speak a little bit ritualistically that likewise goes definitely over your heads. And then they get started properly. She remarks on the quaintness of this all. She will also pause and apologise to Timothy that she's not gotten a chance to read the mysterious book that was handed over. She's been kind of busy preparing for this.
Glad I don't need to eat food anymore.
Chilling out, you're being silly. I mean, it's not like vampires bleed everywhere when you cut them open.
Yeah, actually, they do if you cut them right. But never mind. That's
That's
semantics.
more like a scoop and pull motion, she will insist.
I was always under the impression that while in torpor, there's little physical difference between a kindred and a real corpse.
Yes, and real corpses aren't known for their spurtliness when you give them a good slice.
Still don't look fun to go digging around to. Just saying, I'm glad I'm not a coroner.
Yes, she will insist that there is the one downside of odor, and that's the fact that her sense of smell is higher than either of yours, and she will regret that portion at least. Although she herself, if she's not speaking, won't need to do any inhaling, you'd best believe she's putting a mask on, because it's going to get stankulous.
I'll remember not to breathe.
Ridiculous.
Count Stankulus.
Mm-hmm.
The black rapper on the mic.
The black rapper Count Stankula.
Uh,
Count Stankula rolls filthy beats.
an old vampire from the 80s who died and just never stopped rapping.
The 80s vampire Count Stankula. He happens to have the filthiest dubstep. I love that's the descriptor for dubstep. I remember there being a group for dubstep, and it was referred to as dubstep filthier than a council house flat.
Wow.
It's a pretty good name for your dubstep group, isn't it? At least Mers would know that. Fucking council house
We
flats
at
are
least
great.
have one of them to narrate and tell us details as the vivisection
Yes,
goes.
the professional, experienced vivisectionist will be doing the lead of speaking on this part. She is also probably like at least one stage of humanity lower than Claire, and is going to be less bothered by things such as odors. And so they begin. It's a simple affair, like getting him trussed up on the table. They will, notice that the wounds that had quote-unquote torpored this individual have healed over the night. As vampires are wont to do, his ability to recover has not been impeded by his torpor. And then they start. There is a blood bag nearby. It's not IV'd up to him though, because that would be pointless. It looks more like one of those serving taps that you might have attached to a keg of some kind, so that they can just essentially just dump a bunch in his mouth.
Fair enough.
Yeah, they've got a clean white table. They begin to make their incisions. It looks a little bit cop drama for you guys, like, where they cut into the body and for some reason no one starts like cringing as like gases are emitted and gross stuff. Like, again, a torpored vampire still doesn't, like, become a hive mind of bacteria and grossness, so he's not horrendous to go through. However, he is a very recent turn from a ghoul, and they will, impress that there is evidence of, like, digested food further down in the tracts and the intestine, that kind of stuff. So that gives you a time of date, at the very least. His turning into a vampire probably couldn't have been longer than a day after he was discovered, and probably his torporing was basically immediate after that. I can tell you that much at the outset.
Definitely follows the narrative that he was turned for a message.
She herself is not positing such information. Her approach to it is far more clinical. Not that they
No,
can
I was
hear.
just
Yeah,
saying
not
that.
that they can hear you speaking. I'll say but you won't find confirmation from their own speech. They're handling it all very clinically. And they will go through this process until they have all the information they can put together. At least all the medical information they can put together. It is at that point one of them will pull out what looks like a paint tin, properly sealed, still got its like oil-tight seal print on it. And he will break this seal with a little bit of a I was going to say with his fingernail, but no, he's probably too clean for that. He will use a switchblade and slice an incision into this paint tin and open it up. The contents within, however, are way too dark and oily and viscous to be paint. Instead, it looks more like oil-laden blood. Most of keep it liquid still.
In a paint tin.
Mm-hmm.
In his body.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, he's pulled out from his, like, actual, supplies for doing this. Like, they had syringes and scalpels, braces, forceps, all that shit, but also what appeared to be a paint tin and a large leather-bound book. The lady, the one you recognized as the in charge of the duo, will begin making intonations from this book, while the man first makes a perfect concentric circle around them in this, blood oil mixture, where it glistens there on the floor of this seal tank. You realize with a sad face that someone's going to have to clean that up before the seals go back in and the water goes back in. Such a shame.
Glad I'm not that low on the rung.
Yep. Some unfortunate ghoul's job. And then this circle is made into a pattern. Concentric circles are drawn into it as the intonations grow in further. If anyone would like to make me a raw-ass occult test, they are welcome to do so to try and glean what this ritual is. But it is raw, no intelligence, no wits, no education, because there's no way a dragon's revealed this to you, so it's just entirely, occult estimation. Oh, okay. You really have no fucking idea what they're doing, which honestly makes sense, and I'm glad you failed. It's curious. And it is interesting. If I were to describe it, it looks more modern than you would expect. When people start intoning sigils and runes and shit into the floor, you expect it to look like blockbuster movie stuff, like squiggles and writings and extra symbols, but it's mostly concentric circles. It is, as I would describe it, a modern occult. The intent is more important than whatever old religious text this ritual was pulled out of. Circles do the job, so they're doing it with circles. Just because it works. And as they do this, you eventually, as this last concentric circle is closed, you can almost feel this closing of a circle as like a snap of energy in the room. And everything grows still, as though your bodies wouldn't even be capable of developing static if you were to rub bare feet across carpet. The air, it feels neutral to you, even outside of this observation area. Her voice, the lady's voice, when she swaps from reading from this book to announcing information, sounds distorted almost. Do any of you act or do anything?
Yes. I'm going to use shadow form. I want to watch this from Twilight.
Okay.
You sparkle.
Let's see here.
God damn it, I forgot.
If you're going to attempt to do shadow magic, I'm going to actually do the test for this containment field. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, int, 4 occult, and then spell power. Okay, 2 more dice. Alright then, if you want to try and go into your shadow form, you're going to have to beat that many successes, which is a lot. You can certainly give it a go though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, 8 successes. If you would like to try and shadow form up while they've got this containment circle in place.
And I am outside of it, right?
You're outside of the circle, but the area you're in certainly feels neutralized. You haven't got any negatives because you aren't in the circle, but you're still going to have to beat 8 if you would try and observe this without just not seeing anything.
Alright, I'm gonna pop shadow potency. Let's see. No chance I can willpower my way into that.
I'm afraid not. Okay, so you try to, and you can feel your body doing its familiar slip into the shadows, but there's a dull stabbing pain behind your eyes, and you're reminded of headaches, although this one is definitely not some weird esoterica and more your slip on your powers is starting to fail you. It's not a dramatic failure, you aren't locked out of it, but you aren't going to be able to easily transition to a shadow. And even if you do so, they are like a blank spot in the twilight. You can't see into what appears to be a dome of nothing. They're just outlines, and you can't gather detail from it. And it seems that whatever they've done is some very good magic against things like interruptions or outside, weird outside influences, like someone trying to peer in at the twilight might be.
Damn it, Otto Dracul. Let me steal your secrets.
Yeah, that I was gonna say, like, it would be remiss for an Auto Dracul to not have a "don't copy this" portion of their ritual in place. It's weird enough that an incomplete version of it got fucking thieved by Lily, but also she had like a month and a half of downtime to do it over.
Hmm?
An Auto Dracul ritual.
Magic, Darian. It's beautiful, isn't it? In a annoying way.
Tell you what, DCL, give me a wits composure, and we'll see if you can observe differences in this, because you aren't trying to use magical powers. His statement sounds like nonsense.
Okay. Intelligence, go away.
Yeah, intelligence, go away. I'm trying to figure a thing out.
Can Darian still like see?
See what, sorry?
Can Darian still see Tim? Tim in the Twilight?
He hasn't. I mean, do you commit to staying in shadow, or do you just let it go when it doesn't do anything? Because you can observe it in normal space.
I'm definitely just letting it go, and there's nothing I can get.
Yeah, like you see for a moment Tim's form start to bleed into shadows before he, stops and makes that statement of it, being beautiful and it's non-magic. To your eyes, it looks more like a heat haze has sort of enveloped them. You can still see them clearly enough, especially with your, decent-ass vampire eyes. Their voices sound different and distorted as they speak. And what they begin describing, I don't want to make it all up, because mostly I can't be asked. They refer to a bunch of esoteric details about the, status of this individual's corporeal form, his incorporeal form, the origins of the bloodline, the development of the blood, the ability to process vitae as it goes through. They pause for a moment and they'll give him a shot of blood and observe it passing through his open body. They have his chest open for this and they're watching it happen. They're seeing how it acts and works.
As someone trained to literally be able to carve and stop the flow of vitae, I might not be completely lost to those concepts when they start talking about the flow of vitae and processing it through the body.
They're definitely approaching it from a more medical standpoint, but give me an intelligence academics test then.
Ouch.
That sure is definitely not a thing you're good at, so good luck with that chance die.
Nope.
You have no fucking idea.
That doesn't actually make the roll happen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, click chance.
Nope.
Yeah, you don't know. That's a 5.
Fair enough.
At least it wasn't a dramatic failure.
I can't think of a way that I would punish him a dramatic failure in this case, but yeah, no,
Make him think
you don't
he
understand.
picked something up.
That's true. I could just
and
feed him misinformation.
Yeah, make him think he could use a technique like that in combat and
I'm
backfire.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always reticent to feed someone misinformation on purpose. 1, because the player knows it's misinformation, and 2, even if they ignore that and make their character act on it, all it's going to do is inevitably kill 2 hours of game time. I feel like that has happened 100% of the time every time. It's like, here's some misinformation on purpose, and they're like, I gotta go out of my way to act on it. I'm like, oh my god, thank you, hours I don't get back.
That's why things like that at grant what's it?
Conditions.
Experience, yeah.
Yeah.
When you resolve conditions, you get beats.
Yep.
So it actively rewards you.
It does. I don't think you'd be able to act on any convenient, distinct way. It would instead just end up being a couple of lost, maybe hours of conversation on him, understanding something completely wrong. And you're in the middle of an investigation. I mean, he didn't dramatic fail, so that's fine. Yeah. But it's you're in the middle of an investigation, feeding someone on purpose misinformation, where the players know that they are fucking this investigation up for themselves. I don't want to go through that. That's so painful.
Either way, I don't know shit.
Yes, yeah. Luckily you didn't dramatic fail. You have to deal with that fucking particular basket of suffering. And yeah, you can't glean this information. Although you know how to do the thing. You know how to do the thing practically, not academically.
Judy, I can't do the thing.
Mm-hmm. Likewise, though, Timothy, you can do intelligence academics -1. You don't have a knowledge of stopping the flow of vitae in a person, but you are still a smirk, and you can try and understand what they are describing.
I do actually get to roll real dice. It's great. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, not bad. Okay. So, from the very brief, you get the idea that they have indeed defined this person's bloodline as Botticelli. They can see where their eyes have. They describe them as like non-functioning, even though you can't see any possible they could tell. Like they don't check for detached retina, and likewise they can't do a vision test. But they are certain this individual can't see. Like whatever animates a vampire is not doing that job for its eyes. They're fairly certain that as a result its hearing is better, but they can't test that, as it were. They can see the passage of vitae through them. They confirm their age, their like date of unbirth, as it were. But as I say, it's not a dramatic success, so I can't throw like hidden information at you. Besides to say, they get a good idea of what they're looking at. They understand it, and they definitely understand something about the nature of its bloodline's ability to cross it into others. Indeed, as they reach the end of this, they seem quite comfortable with leaving the room. They will insist that they want to let the magic run its course, so that this zone of safety they've erected will dissipate naturally instead of just closing it, because they wouldn't want to enforce mutations upon themselves. But yeah, while you're watching this body just sat there slowly re-knitting itself as they pour enough vitae into it for it to like start doing that job, they're stood there and they're well, the gentleman is now filling the fuck out of some documents and forms. Claire is likewise scribbling frantically, and she's doing drawings and learning all sorts of things and conferring information, just checking back and forth with this gentleman. The lady who took the head of the vivisection will address you. Would you like to ask her anything?
So, is the process of figuring out who sired him more of a separate medical procedure, or would you just simply need more time with the body?
The reality is, it would be more like having a blood sample and checking with it at a lab. We definitely
So like
have the
forensics.
evidence. Yes, indeed. We definitely have forensic evidence of their sire as dictated by their vitae. As limited an amount as it may be due to their new existence. But we would need to double check. We can make guesses, of course. Our guess, most obviously, would be that the sire is Botticelli, as that reflects the nature of the vampire we're looking at. However, it is in that bloodline's nature to subvert that of others. I would hate to be presented with a red herring in such a case, although we do not see or detect any underlying evidence of a prior-owned bloodline. We don't see evidence that they used to be something other than Botticelli, which we would expect we could find some evidence in a vampire.
Understood. He was turned in, you say, less than a day. He was torpoed in like less than a day that he was turned.
Correct.
Can you discern anything happened to him in between that timeline?
Very well. As far as we are aware, this individual was quite recently a ghoul, as I'm sure you have already committed the information for. Their musculature is evident of a kind being in their prime, as one would expect of a ghoul. No signs of deterioration, so exercise that they might have undergone has only added to the frame instead of kept them within a status quo of expended calorie. AKA, since ghouls degenerate slower than people, any kind of working out you do or like eating and all that stuff shows some more avid evidence you don't take out as much as you put in anymore. So we definitely have the evidence they began as a ghoul, and have been a ghoul for a long enough period of time that it would have presented these changes in a human body, for want of a different phrase. This body saw no exterior damage before it became a kindred. This would be evidenced by the fact that they have had a day to return to state, and the state they have returned to was not damaged in any significant fashion.
So you're saying that they were turned peacefully?
Peacefully is incorrect. Their bodies saw no harm before they were turned. The staking, for instance, occurred post-vampirification, not pre. Otherwise, they would return to the form of having huge holes punched in them.
Fair enough. So he obviously wasn't physically damaged that badly if he returned to this state.
Correct. We can see no evidence of outstanding damage. The bite itself wouldn't leave a mark, otherwise you all would be carrying one.
Of course. I suppose there are ways one could forcibly turn a ghoul if they wanted to, though.
Correct, of course, through administration of the bite and rites as usual. It's just someone else's ghoul. Such a thing is considered not done, very rude, but nothing can stop you from doing so yourself.
Ah, that's right. Is there any way to tell, I guess that's more of a long shot, but whose ghoul he was?
Oh, most definitely the Elder Tarina's ghoul. He has all the markings of Mortrophians, and the distinct markers that would evidence them. We had that information prepared in advance before we'd come to the sample.
Owned by Tarina, but turned potentially
to a Botticelli, yes.
Yeah, that's definitely very curious.
I mean, it's quite the crime. We may not assign ourselves to the political, but stealing of one's ghoul is an insult, no matter who you are.
Right. What other questions? Any?
She'll look pointedly to Tim. By the way, are you quite all right, Sir Timothy? I do realize you attempted some acts during our ritual, sorry.
Power of my bloodline. I was curious to attempt to watch what you were doing from another vantage point. I assure you that your defense is quite successful, though I didn't realize what they were.
Oh, of course. I have no doubt that our defenses were quite more than adequate. However, if you were any less than prepared, you could have done yourself considerable harm. Had I known you would make such an attempt, I would have warned you beforehand, and for that I do sincerely apologize, and I'm glad to hear that you have come to no harm.
Alright, one last question. His heart. Did his heart shift back in any way, or did it stay on the side it was already at?
Ah, yes, the curious matter of his heart. No, it would seem this individual, back from their humanity pre-ghouldom, they have always had a heart on the left side of their on the other side of their body.
Huh.
It does happen in some rare instances of humanity, I believe. Not an entirely untowards percentile. The idea of one such person becoming a ghoul would be considered rare if a coincidence, though if they were chosen specifically for that merit, via some curiosity on their part, that suddenly makes them far more likely for ghouldom than a normal human.
Alright. I'm just...
Yeah, she does, although she sounds accusatory, she's just rattling through information, as it were. It doesn't seem she's trying to be confrontational.
That wasn't I'm sorry.
Like, oh yeah, back it up there. No, okay, sorry.
Yeah, that was me going, all right, I got all the information I wanted.
Yeah. My bad, yeah. She is definitely divulging this information very matter of fact.
I think I've gotten all I've wanted to know for now. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome, and we'll be looking into the details of this further. The wandering nature of Botticelli's bloodline is most intriguing to us. The idea that their bloodlines could converge and meld is, outside of their bloodline, unheard of.
Well, if anything, it at least sounds like you're very eager and excited to figure this out. Always nice working with people who have passion.
Well, but of course. I mean, should you have needs of our further dissemination and information, a not uninconsiderable portion of our findings will be made available as a thesis and documentation. simply call upon us at the Argus manor that Claire over here has prepared. And she will indicate Claire, who will grin and nod, rather proud that they're using her manor.
Depending how this investigation plays out, I'll probably do just that. Thank you very much for your help today.
Oh, but it is my pleasure. Thank you for acquiring such an interesting sample.
I will bow again as a final parting respect.
Yep, she doesn't seem entirely bothered by the additional respects. By the way, he is restored physically. I would give the room maybe some time. As I insist, the Botticelli's bloodline is subversive. I would not spend undue quantities of time in its process, in its presence, or indeed amongst many Botticelli at once. Such an idea would be compounded, intentional or not.
Wake him up, ask your questions quickly, and get out.
That's the safest.
Alright.
But yes, give it some time. The ritual circle's in place. You should be able to tell. The mixture that has been laid out there across the floor will fragment. It will become dust. Once it is dust, the ritual is complete. They should be safe to approach and awaken.
Alright. Then I'll do my waiting.
She will bow politely since you bowed before. She'll offer Timothy a handshake since he hasn't chosen one way or the other.
Shake her hand and nod, and give her a little nod.
Yep. She'll seem pleased. Do you have any questions for Claire? Like, she'll try to answer stuff. She's obviously more approachable than the two dragons.
Yeah. Just obvious theorizing I want to shoot with Timothy.
Sure. I mean, as I say, like, she's part of your coterie, and I'll try and provide some of her, at least her skill dice to this matter, even if I'm not going to play as her mouthpiece.
Yeah, it's just like, obvious chance that it was a mistake. Recently turned ghoul. Tom recently turned ghoul to vampire. Somebody goes out of their way to kill them for some reason, or at least try to give them final death. Doesn't really... Wait, no. When you stake a vampire through the heart, that's not how you kill them, right? You still got to go the extra
That's how you
step.
torpor them.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just torpored by harm, effectively. The staking through the heart was technically unnecessary. He just happened to, be an immediately young vampire, and that level of damage to his just drunk from a vampirized frame was just enough to torpor him anyway. Usually the heart staking is just a matter of fact.
But generally, vampire hunters or people who know how to kill a kindred know that is not final death.
Oh yes, it's definitely on purpose that this individual was left alive.
Okay.
The purpose, though, is the question.
Yep. And the question is, we're going to have to question him. Once the circle, I believe the whole point was wait for the circle to deteriorate and then wake him up.
Yeah, you could go in if you wanted to ignore that advice, but yes, there are a number of ritual circles, and they will supposedly disintegrate or turn to dust, and then they are safe to approach.
I'll take the advice.
Okay. By the way, Claire's intelligence, occult, and otherwise for understanding the whole procedure as it went through is a dramatic success. Ask any one question. She will do her best to answer it. The more esoteric, the better. You can feel free to confer on what question is best to ask. Lily too, since it's technically a meta thing to ask.
Yeah. What are you asking?
Is the matter of vitae something physical or magical?
Vitae itself?
The matter of how it flows through the body. This is just me asking because I'm curious of how it relates to my kindred fighting.
Vitae exists in the veins like vampire blood does, but it doesn't flow out when a wound is cut. Not naturally, at least.
Definitely makes it more curious about my fighting method.
Your fighting method is unnatural. What you do when you injure someone is you go out of your way to carve out as much vein and arterial structure as possible that the blood you're stealing can't help but be leaching vitae quantities from them. Okay. That's how your fighting style functions at the very least. You are very pointedly ripping out so much shit, and it's also why your defense is eliminated. You're ripping out so much stuff that you are stealing points of vitae from them as you do so.
Okay.
Yeah, you're a special snowflake.
Mm-hmm. Or, as some would put it, a brutal carver.
Should have made my specialty butcher knives instead.
Look, but I'm not gonna say that like a sushi chef's knife would be the perfect like kindred fighting knife. It would be the perfect kindred fighting knife.
Just get a nice sushi chef blade.
Fuck yeah, absolutely. Fucking like a Benihana chef of death.
This is why the Yakuza don't have vampire problems.
It's true.
You kidding?
All
They
his
are
knives
the
are surreal.
vampires.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, no. No, I mean, you've got Yakuza around here, and you don't know how many might be vampires. Maybe you do. I don't know. Want to make a test? See how many Yakuza you know of who are vampires?
In Old World of Darkness, man.
Oh, yeah, no, they were all fucking
special.
They're like every single fucker was a Jiangxi. But no, Yakuza exist in San Pasado, and Lily, you know the underground, as it were. You want to make a roll?
I
See how
do.
many Yakuza vampires you're aware of?
Sure. What am I rolling for that?
Let's-
Wits, streetwise?
Sure, Wit Streetwise seems good to me. Add one for you being a specialist of the illegal.
Is streetwise one of my specials?
Maybe
Okay.
Streetwise.
No, it is one of my specials.
I'll be damned.
That means 9 again.
Go for it.
No. A specialty is +1 die.
No, asset skill.
Asset skill.
Okay.
Professional training.
That would make more sense.
One of my specials, not one of my specialties.
Yeah.
I'll
4
fire.
successes. Yeah, you know of. None of them are elders, mind you, but 3 of them are Invictus, and 1 is Carthian. Yakuza vampires. There is a very heavily tattooed lady, maybe like 6'3", who is a Carthian. They are known for having dismantled 2 Yakuza central gangs. But basically they wanted to do the closest thing to unionizing ghoul drug movers.
Can I make a weeb knowledge roll to figure out the legend of Kiryu, the vampire Yakuza?
No, because everyone knows Kiryu the Yakuza was a professional hunter with monster parts injected into him. It's the only explanation.
Monster parts
So
injected,
he
so
was,
he was a rogue hunter.
Yeah, Rogue
So
Hunter.
he was a member of the Kahiran group.
Yeah, is it Chiron?
Chiron.
Chiron.
But yeah, to catch you up to speed, Rim, we mostly
They're
just
one of my favorites.
did the vivisection of the guy we saved. He is Barticelli bloodline, or at least estimated to be so. He was turned within the day. He was torpilled within the day he was turned, like only like a day after, not even that. And
Huh.
obvious theories are rather that we are being led by the nose by rather somebody trying to pin blame on Barricelli, or one of the Barricellis, like Amelia, orchestrating the whole thing along with Seven, whatever.
Also,
Hmm.
important thing to specify, all of the injuries were inflicted after he was embraced. Like, there wasn't really any significant sign that, he had been resisting.
Stop resisting.
Yeah, exactly. He was
So
turned
he
and
was
then he was
willing.
torpored.
So he was willing.
I asked that same thing, and
They
What
can't
answer I
say either way if he was willing, just that there is no evidence of external harm done to him before he was vamped.
yeah,
So maybe he was willing, maybe it was done in his sleep. He was found in his bedroom after all. That's
Mm.
he could have been turned and never even realized it until
Until he was
No.
staked to a wall, yes. I mean, he would have realized
That
it
would be
post
cool.
being pinned to a wall. You catch on pretty quickly if you stop bleeding when you're staked to walls and shit.
yeah. If anything, we're waiting for some circles to turn to dust so that we can safely wake him up and ask him some fucking questions.
oh my god, how have I only just realized this is a thing I should have asked?
Ooh,
Uh,
ooh, go ahead.
Mm.
His bedroom, how thorough was the light proofing? That if it wasn't, then that would confirm it was done that night.
there were no preparations made for a vampire to live there. Like, he obviously had heavy curtains and blinds because he was someone's ghoul, and you want to be able to shut the light out. Blinds were not in place, so it happened at night, presumably, if it was done by a vampire. But,
not
like, his place wasn't
happened at night.
vampire-proofed. Yeah, his place
had
was
to
not.
have happened
They
that
intended
night.
to
He
kill
had
him.
to be embraced then.
Assuming he didn't leave his bedroom or go somewhere safer, then yeah.
Correct,
Also,
yes.
if they
His
take him
room
into-
was not
Hold on,
vampire-proofed.
hold on.
If they
Hold on. Let me just say.
Yeah, go for it.
He was stabbed to the wall in his bedroom. If it wasn't vampire-proofed, then like the blinds weren't in place, some light would have gotten in. If a day had happened, he would have burst into flames and died. It could only have been that night.
Yeah. Oh, that's what you meant. I thought you meant. Oh yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Look at you, that's
Yeah.
something I hadn't considered, so I'm going to say it's something the Seventh hadn't considered. Yeah, he was not ejecting flames. Like, they had curtains, and, like, he definitely owned heavy curtains and blinds, because he was someone's ghoul, and you don't just have a place that sunlight leaks into in an emergency. There were no, like, definite vampire proofings performed.
So this was done rather quickly. I mean, this was done. So he was rather a deliberate message. Maybe he was put there as a timed message.
Indeed, if it had happened a day later, you
Or
would
he knew
have
too much.
visited a pile of ashes pinned to the wall.
If he knew too much and they wanted him dead, they would have just killed him and finished him off, rather than being over dramatic and waiting for the sun to finish him off.
Possibly.
You don't
if you
understand. Certain old school groups prefer dramatic.
Yeah.
We're talking a message.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, like, now that you're here, Gidgeon and all that, like, you would know this indeed from your times in the olden days. Like, if someone is to be introduced to the final death, they are to be introduced to it properly. They are to be pinned up.
You are to put a flourish on it.
Correct. You are to be pinned up, such as one might be crucified and waiting for the rising of a sun to take them to the final death, and their ashes are gathered the night after. That is totally valid.
We're
We
talking
need
about
to get there now.
we're talking about guys so subtle and unsubtle that they would erase the entire existence from places to hide their tracks. Not sure they take the risk to be, dramatic like that.
Unless you
suppose
got
it's
there a
possible.
day late and found nothing but ashes across the wall in the shape of a crucifix with 7 written next to it in soot.
Like the first place we went.
The first place we went, he was hacked up, wasn't he?
Correct, with a mouthful of ashes.
Yeah, that tells me deliberate intent and killed before.
His
right?
home,
Because-
however, was vampire-proof because he's a vampire.
Yeah.
But that's the same sort of message. Yeah, I actually think they're getting cocky and think we're even stupider than we actually are.
Well, depending on what we get from this guy, we'll rather come closer to the answer of that. So say Duckles the Swole, because I just remembered that's my fucking name of this channel.
I am. Yeah, if Gideon were to bring, well, if Gideon were to bring up that old practicing character, I hope, Scow, you don't mind us just
Yeah, no,
basically summarising that
yeah, no,
we had that conversation in character.
that was fantastically done, and I'm happy for that to be how that comes up in character.
Execution in the golden practice usually had a flourish on it.
Yeah, I was,
Simply killing. There was no art. There was just savagery. Putting a flourish, or even a subtle message, meant that you weren't just a beast killing, but you were a man of intent to kill.
already had this conversation in character.
Yep.
Just
No, I mean we just had that all. I assumed that was all in character.
It was, effectively,
See,
but yeah, it's nice hearing it reassured.
initially maybe, but then Scow started talking as well.
Yeah, I had to definitely, defiantly, just confirm things in case we got lost there. Yeah, and the Christian angle is a big deal. The crucifixion is a big deal.
Possibly a second state.
Then I would say we should head back now. If we're right, then they may have sent an agent to try to finish the preparations. If you hurry, we might have a chance to catch them before they realize what's happened.
Wait. I don't necessarily disagree with you, but one, how early into the night it is, because they probably did this like right away. Might have already missed them. And two, this guy is basically, if we're right and they fucked up, this guy's our golden ticket. We want to question them immediately. We don't even want to take the risk of leaving for something bad to happen to him while we're not looking.
Then, Darian, you were remarkably astute taking the lead with the auto recall, and I can travel faster. Deal with the questions with Sir Gideon. I shall be in contact with you.
Right.
Do I get to play the Do I get to play the part of interrogator?
What?
I wonder how your tech methods have evolved.
Well, can't. If it comes down to it, maybe some old time torture won't be out of the question.
So DCL, you're aware of it academically, not personally. You've never tortured. That's so
Yeah,
out for your character. Hedra has told you that these are the ways that are done, but also there are professionals who will do that for you and do it less shittily, and also not risk final deathing them. I will add that there are that I've just re-hit shown to players there for REM's sake, so they can catch up on stuff that has changed, and also at the bottom of a new embrace. Jacob Cabs was turned at the start of the night before being discovered, as the non-vampire-proofed room would have killed him otherwise.
Yeah. Luckily, since this guy is a newly turned vampire, I think he'll be much like me. Probably won't have to bring out the interrogation techniques. Don't think this guy's going to be some hardcore Navy SEAL.
Oh, what?
Oh, right. Basically a real badass. Though, I suppose...
Oh, what?
I suppose anything's not out of the table if Seven wanted to target him. Let's just see what he has to say, if he'll say anything peacefully. So yeah, I'll wait around for the circles to melt. Timothy is rushing over back to the scene to check to see if anybody came over.
Okay. Alright, Timothy, you melt yourself down in shadow, presumably further away from the ritual circle this time?
Yes.
Sure, you're welcome to spend the vitae and make your move.
Alright, do I successfully turn into a shadow man?
Yeah, there you go.
Alright. In case this goes into a fight, I want to be able to be physical. I'm gonna spend a willpower to throw 3 more dice at it.
Okay.
Yep, hit the dramatic success.
Yeah, okay. You can materialize as a solid shadow, I believe it is.
A 3-dimensional shadow, so, able to stand up and talk and, look like a person with glowing eyes, but...
Sure. There is, as you arrive, you can see the typical, Flowers by Irene van that's got some gold sat in it.
Yeah, I'm going to give a quick swing by that and just take a look. Are the ghouls still alive?
They are. They look sleep deprived. It looks like they've probably, shifts are definitely being subverted by this additional weight that's being lent on the Elysium's cleaners. They only have so many ghouls, and you guys have made quite a lot of requests recently. They look tired AF.
Alright.
And...
a willpower to actually do the standing up and be able to talk thing. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you appear to them as a shadow, and one of them is a specific watcher, so give me a moment to see if he, even sees this weirdness approaching. A success. Do you want to give me a stealth?
Yes. Wit stealth?
Yeah, wit stealth. Okay, I mean, you came even. I think you spot him at the same time as you turn up. So he's like stunned, but you're already there in range, so he's not gonna like panic and start being like, "Help, evil shadow monsters!" He's definitely shocked, but he's there. He looks exhausted.
It is I, Sir Timothy. How long have you been on this post? All night?
On this one, since just prior to sunrise. Are you here to relieve us? Or is someone else going to relieve us?
Good. They wouldn't send it anything, anyone short of kindred. Has anyone approached the house?
Like a mailman in the morning. There was a solicitor who knocked at the door and no one answered. Again, still sunlight. There was a large group of people who walked past who looked like they were paying this place undue attention. However, it was very early evening and they'd been drinking. I think they've headed on towards a nightclub now. We didn't want to pursue them just in case we were discovered or something happened while we were gone. Otherwise, that's it. No other disturbances that I can cover for you.
Alright. And they haven't made the move yet if they're going to.
Who would they be, Sir Timothy? The ones who did the whole ordeal? We've not gone inside ourselves, but we've given them the gist of the situation.
Indeed. Sir Gideon has informed me there may be certain similarities between this ordeal and a ritualized execution.
You're saying the sun would have killed him, maybe?
Yes.
Well, I don't think anyone turned up. Although if they were just checking in, I mean, he'll look around pointedly and like lean out the van window. He still seems a little bit unsettled that the glowy eye shadow man is talking to him, but he seems to shake that off for the most part. You've got a reputation these days. There are two roofs that overlook this street, and he'll point those out. That one up there. I guess we aren't always looking at the roof, because that would be fucking weird. If someone were watching to see if a weird fire started in one of the rooms, then it would be from there. I don't think anyone's shown themselves, but it's not impossible they could have checked without us seeing. Sorry, didn't know that was something we had to expect.
No, neither did I until just now. I will relieve you for the remainder of the night. Come, send someone to relieve me a half hour before dawn.
Alright, sure, we can do that. And he'll pull out... I was going to say walkie-talkie, but no, he'll probably just pull out like a shell burner phone and make a call. It takes a few moments for him to connect, and he goes through his random conversation. He'll lean over. Do you have a preference of numbers to take over watch? We're running a bit thin right now, I will admit.
No, but we need to keep this place under surveillance for a little while.
Alright, same two-person unit. Sure thing. And yeah, he'll make the confirmation into it. Like, yeah, I know. Then tell him he can come back later. Yeah, that's right. Okay, great. Sure thing. And pause. There's one person who's kicking up a fuss. He's missing a drinks night, but whatever. Alright. We'll be leaving for now. And then yeah, they'll drive off in their van.
So I'm gonna shadow my way up onto one of the roofs and go back to just melty puddle. Actually, let's Shall we speed things along with just me doing a wits investigation roll to see if anything's changed?
That seems like the best way, yeah.
I do have a question. The head
Sure.
that we, I just thought of something.
Mm-hmm.
So you have what would have been a crucifix burned in ash on a wall, and
Yes.
at the previous location, 4 piles of ash at the cardinal points and a head sitting in the middle with a mouthful of ash.
Correct. Ash from what would have been estimated to be the torso portions of the four corners of the body with the loose limbs.
It isn't possible that they would have been referencing St. John the Baptist with that, would they?
There's a possibility. There's also the possibility that your DM looked up a bunch of religious significance for executions and they just picked them and didn't look into the backstory of it because she's not very good at being a religious person. If so, then fucking spot on for me in the Wikipedia I looked at.
Yeah, the beheading of St. John the Baptist.
Sounds about right. That'd be why I came across it, I assume. If his limbs were torn off and the cardinal directions were removed so that he could be placed in ash into his mouth, yeah.
No, not exactly like that, but...
If it was close enough, it was close enough. You can certainly draw that side by side. I'm not going to say it was wrong or right. I, myself, don't know the specific details, but if that's why I came across that information, then that makes sense. Like, there is a lot of crossover for this myth, I will admit. Okay, so Timothy, you wits investigate this place. There are no discernible differences about this building as you go through it. However, can you also give me a wits empathy?
Oh boy.
I know you're so good at it. Look at that! Okay, so you know how before this whole building felt like the sensation of life itself was scrubbed from it? Like, you could observe that people definitely lived here, but there was no that essence of living and existing in it?
Mm-hmm.
That is slowly drifting back to the building. The cleaners have seen to the bodies and removed those. Indeed, you might be able to request, like, has a coroner seen to these, perhaps? Because bodies have been taken away from this building now. But yeah, no, the sense of life is returning to this building. It was a very temporary thing, possibly, or just an effect of the creatures themselves.
Alright, that's... That is interesting. Yes, So yeah, after that I am going to squidge my way up onto a roof and just watch, see if anyone swings by, and that'll basically be the rest of my night.
Sure.
I will, at some point switch to 3D shadow form, attempt to text everyone, and presumably there isn't cell phone service in Twilight.
There isn't cell phone service in Twilight, but I believe if you make the text and then place your phone away from yourself, it no longer stays in Twilight, so a text will land. You can sit there, wait for it to buzz, and pick it back up again.
Wait, did y'all say something about the Yakuza earlier that I
Yeah, we talked about the Yakuza earlier. I remember exactly when it came up. It was just needless conversation. That was right, yeah, it was just a joke about killing people with chef's knives.
Oh, I was about to ask, was it the charming gentleman that sold me the quote-unquote iPod?
No, it wasn't him.
But yeah, are you going to need another session to prepare answers for the questions?
Depends what the questions are. If you would like to do the questioning while Timothy is watching, you can do so. The circle will only take an hour or so to dust, and let's see, how long have we been going for? 3 hours, 50 minutes? We can go for another 15, 20 minutes.
Okay. And yeah, I'm going to wait for the dust to clear, and then I'm going to start asking my questions. Well, I'm going to start trying to wake him up so I can ask my questions.
Okay. There's someone who is comfortable providing Vitae to wake this individual up. and Jacob Cabs will slowly awaken. But before you get to that, Lily, you get a call from Claire.
I will answer it.
Rose, I have finished the vivisection and ran up a bunch of information. And looked into this Botticelli matter that is blinding you.
Perfect. How do we fix it?
Haven't figured that one out yet. We've got to do more ritual and research, but I can give you some clues.
Okay.
So, this guy was turned into them very, very recently. And the changes of blindness don't happen immediately when someone becomes one of them. Like, the blindness sort of sinks in over the process of a bunch of hours, so far as we can tell. I think that if you can find the person who started making this change in you, get a bit of their vitae together, you can probably put some kind of ritual together and, you know, stop this from happening. Thing is, though, gotta find which person in all of the sewers of all of the Botticelli did this to you. We can try and find some other way on our own, but, I mean, that's gonna take a while, and I don't know if you're gonna go blinder before then.
I don't know. We've dealt with many Botticelli when we were down there.
I mean, yeah, no, there were tons. I was down there with you. Like at least, what was it, 15, 20 of them, maybe? I mean, definitely their second in command was speaking to us for the longest, so maybe it's her, but I don't know.
Shit. Well,
Also, you have to persuade them to part with their vitae, and people could be really stingy about that. Not quite sure I understand it myself.
it's okay. We can always have Darian carve a few bits of it out.
I hope that's a joke. That seems like something that they wouldn't like.
Yeah, you know what else people don't like?
Going
Getting
blind?
turned into another bloodline against their will and going blind.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that would suck. I'm glad I'm not going blind. We had to make a lot of checks while we were doing the section to make sure that it wouldn't happen to us. I don't think any of us are suffering yet, but we'll find out in the morning. That'll be fun.
Imagine if Tim were the one affected by this. That he would rain down holy hellfire upon them.
You say holy. I
mean, it's a figure of speech. He's not a Blankia.
True. Also, look at you. You're learning all the covenants and their weirdities. How's it treating you being a Carthian? And then she'll make small talk with you for like a while.
Fine.
As for
they
the
don't treat
question,
me like shit just for being not integrate, being in the political system.
I can imagine that. I can appreciate that. You should have really gone for the Ordo, though. We really don't give a shit about politics.
Too much sciencey stuff.
Science is fun. Yeah. Okay, so, Niciel, as we approach the end of the session, I'm going to ask you to ask one poignant question. As Jacob Cabs awakens, you see the blush of life enter his system as vitae is administered by an aide-de-camp from the Elysium. His eyes snap into focus, and you can see how his pupils are dilating. You can see his attention is entirely upon you. What do you ask first?
The fact that it's only one question makes it so.
For now, you'll get more later, but I want to end it on a nice poignant one.
I'm thinking. Give me a moment.
Sure thing.
Nice turgid question.
Turgid, thick, lurid question.
Gotta get that hard clue.
Girthy.
Such a raging clue.
It's such a raging clue.
I want to be dramatic and just ask who is 7.
You can certainly give that a go.
Fuck it, for the dramatic flair, since actual questions will be asked later, I'm gonna kind of just like take the chair and dramatically sit in front of him and just look him in the eye and go, all right, now tell me everything you know about 7.
All right. The 7. The seven. Would that I had never crossed their path. I can feel it in my mouth, my teeth, they're sharp, and I should be dead. I'm not. And you, I can't see you, but I can see you still. Your voice is like a shape in my head. You and your friend, I can see you, but I can't, and it hurts me. The seven did this to me. They said it was owed to all of us. The seven. They said that we were doomed and should have been gone long ago. That the owls should have stripped us of our unhumanity. I should be dead. And is at that point we're calling the session to a close.
Dramatic fade to black.
There you go. I do love a dramatic exit. Thank you for accommodating that, DCL.
Couldn't help myself.
I wish this game wasn't bi-weekly.
I'm kind of glad it is, because I have to let a lot of shit build in my head, and this has been the most complicated job I've ever done. Holy shit. It's a lot of work, you guys.
Now we have conspiracy, so I'm highly interested in trying to get involved.
Yeah. I'm glad that it is well received. But for now, we jump to our aspirations. Let me grab me old sheet.
I'm sad.
We need to get you a suit, Darian.
I'm sad DCL didn't suck her dick yet.
It hasn't happened yet.
So I couldn't catch that in.
You need to crowbar it in.
You look good in the suit, Darian.
I can make you think I'm wearing a suit. And I have suit still.
DCL avoided sucking dick this month, yeah.
You say DCL avoided sucking dick this month. Roll20 has been forcing its dick down his throat this month.
It's not sucking, it's gagging, it's different.
Inhale my dong.
Yes.
My throat has been very roughly treated by Roll20, let's just say that.
Okay. So, everyone gets their 2 end of session beats.
Oop.
Again, I want to congratulate Mers on dodging a breaking point. Good job.
I want to congratulate Mers on catching that
he had been only passed for half a day, yeah.
Yeah, that was clever. I liked that.
I hadn't expected it either, and I had skipped my mind. I was like, well, that's a good inconsistency, because then I'd have to retcon him being dead, and indeed it gave you more information than I planned. Again, I love being surprised as much as you love surprising me, I'm sure. If not more so.
I don't know why, but I had to resist the mighty urge to sit down in the chair and go, "Who is Slade?"
Can I petition that coming up with that might work with might be good for either my mask or Dirge?
Yeah, I would say so. If you would like to vouch yourself for willpower, that makes sense. Likewise, I would give Zaire one. Absolutely plays into his.
Darian?
Zaire, DCL, whatever.
Wow.
I've got, like, if people watching in the chat can see where I've got, like, everyone's names laid up, and I've got DCL, comma, Zaire. Below that, I've got DCL, comma, Old Man Jacobs. Below that, I've got DCL. So I just see DCL, I'm like, that's his character, of course, because he's playing him. Anyway.
Take that.
Yeah, you can have willpower. Enjoy. So, Lily, you have helped him with his job, 3 pluses. Fix vision, that gets a plus. Your Botticelli lead is reaching fruition. You know, you need to kind of chase down someone who was down in that sewer and possibly get a sample of their vitae. Sadly, no progress in watch DCL suck Etienne's dick. You didn't manage to make that happen this session, but don't worry, there's always next session. Trust me, she totally wants that revenge still. It's all good. DCL, we have perform a job alongside Rose with 2. We have figure out what the new creatures are with nothing in it, and capture a member of the 7 alive, nothing in it right now.
Fair enough.
They are still, I would admit, very valid aspirations. When you get a plus in them, it's probably going to be quite reasonable. Maz, we have Research Persistent Shadows still got the plus on it. You've yet to get a chance to wrap that one up. Resolve a side job shaking a few trees with 3 in it. And do not allow agents of the 7 to kill torpor my companions with just a single plus in it still. Now, Rammers Gidgeon. You did not have a third aspiration, and you turn up very late. You could still have 1 beat. I don't want to totally deny you the ability to progress, because timescales being timescales are. Such is the way of things. You can still have a beat. You have not added additional progress to becoming ingratiated with the local Invictus, and you have not added more to your 3 pluses of assisting the Coterie with a side job. Please don't forget to think of an aspiration for next session.
Alright.
And with that, have any of you got any questions? Think you like to pause it? If anyone else you think is owed a willpower, now would be the time to say it. Start next session admittedly, but now would be better.
I can't wait to teach Timothy the stance.
There was one thing I wanted to bring up.
Sure.
I want to advance blood potency.
You would like to advance your blood potency. Admittedly, your last interaction has been more shadow potency centric. Are you sure you wouldn't like to advance your shadow potency?
The thing is, you haven't. You don't let me put my shadow potency into things like lashing out with the beast and so on. So.
True, but more adeptly, I like to use your shadow potency to give you negative modifiers unless you're using shadow wizardry. And today basically marked the most negatives your shadow potency have ever applied to you, and you came out okay for it. So I would definitely be more inclined to say you've earned shadow potency as opposed to blood.
Well, thing is, blood potency is, all of, like, sure my powers are shadow stuff, but they are from my blood potency, my blood and bloodline, so.
True. Tell you what, click back over to Roll20. Roll me a d10. 6 or below, blood potency. 7 or higher, shadow.
Which reminds me,
Alright, you can put level into your blood.
How expensive is blood potency again?
5 experience.
I have that. I'm very tempted to level up blood potency.
You have not done anything bloodline centric yet, so I would request that you don't yet. It's not specifically in the rules, but I do prefer that you continue to do vampire-y things to progress it. It's why I've just made Mers here at least roll between her 2 types of potency to see. Yeah, sure. There's an argument both ways.
That might be harder for me since the shepherds are kind of about being not vampires, or at least protecting vampires from themselves.
You've done it you've had 1 opportunity so far. I think that you can certainly buy into it next time you do a shepherdy thing of being protective in a fight, or, like creating another blindo, etc.
I mean, that's fair, because the only reason why I'd want to even increase my blood potency is because it'd be better for fights.
Yeah.
Just being able to heal more damage will let me use spray if it ever comes up.
A DCL, you could always be patient and get the free increases to blood potency.
How many years does a free increase take?
50.
Yeah.
50 years.
100 years for shepherd.
Oh yeah, because I'm a shepherd. I hope blood potency is doubled because I'm a shepherd. Oh,
no, it's still the same purchase for you.
Or you could diablerize someone.
Yeah, do you want to drink someone's soul?
That sounds really evil, and I'm not sure my character would be okay with that.
You would not be. You primarily kill people who diablerize other vampires.
Yeah, exactly.
There are a few situations where diablerie is okay. Majority of those is a blood hunt.
Yeah, let's hope we don't come to that situation. For now, I'll just pocket my experience, since I don't really have anything I want to immediately buy that I can find.
Yeah, and I mean, next time you get into a situation, feel free to make a request for blood potency again, and I may or may not allow it if you've got to be shepherdy and protect people. Like, you've gotten to do it for the first time ever recently. You're going to need more than 1 example, admittedly, but that's not going to be far away, presumably.
I would say if I can manage to actually do my aspiration and snag and incapacitate a member of the 7, this secret...
Oh, yeah, I'd have no argument there. That's a very shepherd thing to do.
Yeah. Organization that's been terrorizing vampires for 5 ever.
Yeah,
Be a pretty separate thing.
absolutely.
Not
All right.
5 ever, 7 ever.
Yeah. For Sevener. Has anyone else got anything else to like say or do?
Besides from eventually teaching Darian proper vampiric history, as far as I know it.
Something that I'm sure would be quite useful to him. Fair enough. Well then, my lovely dears, thank you very much for playing. I'm sorry that it was a late start all told, but I'm glad that the session happened because it was a whole lot of fun.
Thank you for running. This
It was fun.
awesome.
Yeah, glad to hear it. Alright then, if you're watching in the VOD or you're watching in the stream, I of course hope that you will have yourselves a lovely motherfucking good time, and please do take care. Don't let the bed vampires bite.
Bedpires?
Yeah. The cumpires bite.